Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazing Bob, and joined once again by the lovely Melorina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. And joining us for the first time, you might know him, but he's been on Countdown to Classic many times. We have Ziimm. How you doing, Ziimm?
No, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. And the man who inspired the hats on the show today, Simonize Show. How you doing, sir?
Very good. Thank you for having me again. Always have a good time on your Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Fun to talk about WoW.
Yes, it is. And we love having you. Love having you. We're supposed to have Crix too, but I think Crix overslept. So he is in the call. So who knows? He could pop in randomly throughout the show. So just warning you guys on that. That could happen. All right. So we're going to start off the show with thanking our tank patrons in Thick Lizzie, Croxford, Braxton, and Turtle Whale. I want to remind everybody we stream the show live on twitch.tv/BlazinBob, BLAZZINBOB. I want to encourage you guys to join our new Discord server. After being hacked, I did finally get my account back, but it was completely empty. No friends, no previous messages, no servers, a complete empty Discord account. So did I really get it back? Not really. But we have a new Discord server. All you got to do to go to that is check the link in the show notes or description below, or you can just type in warcraftreloaded.com/Discord. Also, Rested XP. If you are going to use Rested XP and use our code going forward, your best bet is actually to just use the link provided in the description below, or the link provided on our website, or warcraftreloaded.com/restedxp. The reason for this is they've made a change recently. There have been a few people abusing online coupon sites and getting way more hits than they actually deserved. So the cut for the coupon codes is actually going to be going way down. So please use the description below, or warcraftreloaded.com/restedxp. All right, we're not going to start with a voicemail, but we're going to have a voicemail at the end because it goes good with our discussion at the end. But if you ever want to call in, it is 816-866-1066 or speakpipe.com/warcraftreloaded. We'll start the show off with what we've been doing as of late, characters we've been playing, new tunes we've worked up, stuff like that. Maybe even Wrath of the Lich King, if anybody's been doing any of that. Then we're going to jump into the news. There's not really any Wrath news, but there's one thing I wanted to complain about, so we'll talk about that. Then got some Season of Discovery news, and then we're going to talk about we talked about it a little bit at the end of the show last week, but I didn't think we gave it enough time that it deserved. So we're going to talk about the phases planned for Season of Discovery, and we're going to do the voicemail when we do that. Whew, I hate that part of the show, but it's over now. Okay. What have you guys been doing lately in WoW?
Just grinding in Wrath, just doing everything I can in Wrath.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I did Wrath Raid. I did do that.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, we haven't. We're like very bissed out. It'd be kind of rude to leave our guild, but I have backed out of a lot of GDKPs.
Yeah. We've also struggled. I think the holidays too, like we're struggling to fill our roster in Wrath right now. Which is fine. I mean, we've got the buff, so it's not like we can't clear a lot of the content. But yeah, other than that, I worked up a druid on Season of Discovery. That was really fun because I got my Starfire, or not, Star Surge. Is that what it is?
The one that kills me all the time. Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah, that one. I
He's
got
the
it at
one.
level 1. Well, actually, I got it at level 2.5 because walking there got me to level 2.5.
That'll happen.
And so I did that, and that was a lot of fun because I could just one-shot everything, and I never ran out of mana somehow. And so I was just running around, and then Bob on his warrior was running around with me trying to hit mobs and couldn't because I'd kill them first.
Bob chose the perfect character to work up with her overpowered character. I picked the warrior, and I didn't really like until like the teens. I didn't really mess with like getting like good gear on him or anything because I'd literally be fighting a mob. She would go and kill the 4 around that mob, but then my mob would be at a 3rd health, and she'd just kill that too. And so I didn't even bother getting, like, early on, I didn't even bother, to be honest, I still haven't went and got it. I didn't get the one rune that gives you the heal.
Victory
Gosh.
Rush.
Yeah.
I thought that was
warrior.
a quest, yeah.
Yeah,
that's the one you get like at level 2. That was great.
Well, I took my orc straight to Mulgore and didn't even do any quests in the starting area. And so, but it wouldn't have mattered. I never got a killing blow until like level 15.
Wow.
So
it wouldn't have. He'd be like, Mel, I had that one. And I'm like, I know, but it was just going to take you a long time. And
like, it's okay, sweetie.
Move on.
But worked out perfect.
When you do actually get killing blows, I leveled up a warrior last week. Victory Rush is great. It
That's
heals
what
you.
I've heard.
It doesn't cost you rage. It does a bunch of damage. It's everything you want to make the warrior leveling experience a little bit smoother. I leveled up that warrior, and I've done 2 BFD raids on it now. The first one, I was tanking, and I thought that one went great. And the second one, I thought I was going to tank, but then there was this other warlock who would never leave metamorphosis form. He was convinced that he was the tank also, and I eventually just gave up. I mean, I was even trying to like taunt Gamura off of him, because it stacked up on the armor debuffs, but he wouldn't let me. He just instantly taunt back on all the bosses that had like taunt swap mechanics. So I eventually gave up and like mid-raid switched to trying to do DPS and realized that I need to learn a lot more about how to make warrior DPS work. That did not go well. I'm going to just go to my next raid and be like, listen, I'm tanking or I'm going to switch to one of my rogues.
I've heard the what's it called? The bleeding one is really good. And then like you get and then like I don't know if overpower is what you put the last 2 points in, or if it's crit. I'm not sure. I forget.
Yeah, the deep wounds thing.
Yeah, it's
it
really
like
good.
Stacks up and ramps up over the course of the fight as long as you continually crit and your deep wounds doesn't fall off. It just does more and more damage. So yeah, that one's kind of good. I mean, you can get the epic 2-hander Deadly Strike of the Hydra that basically no one else can even use. So it's perfect to slot in for the warriors. Or you could go for a 2-hand option that's like Honed Darkwater Talwar that all the rogues also want, and like a fast web offhand that all the rogues also want. Or you could take the uncontested epic 2-hander and be fine that way. There's options.
Yeah.
Yep.
Aren't warriors the only ones that can wear mail too?
Yep. Yeah,
on
currently
horde
on horde side.
Yeah, on horde side, yeah.
Horde side, gearing up a warrior is very nice because, you're the only male user in the game, and like there's not a lot of argument for anyone other than a warrior to take that epic 2-handed sword.
There is an argument for Hunter.
Those are some like free things you get.
From Sarth.
Alliance side, apparently the population is like 1/4 Ret Paladins.
That tracks.
Is what I'm told. And it's a different story because they use mail also, and they use two-handed weapons also.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that sword also increases the entire melee DPS in your raid, right? Because that armor debuff goes on top.
That armor debuff. If you don't have like sufficient armor debuffs in your raid to reduce the mob down to 0 already, then yeah, that Deadly Strike of the Hydra, that debuff that it procs that lowers armor, is a big deal for the rest of the raid.
You just have homunculi though. Come on.
Yeah. Homunculi pretty much get the job done.
But oftentimes upset your healing priest is there. They have to sweat a little bit more.
You never know. You never know if the priest is going to be willing to slot on the homunculus rune, or if they're going to be like, no, I don't even know what other rune they get instead. But sometimes they complain about doing that. And I just say, all right, I'm sundering or whatever on my warrior. Or then I just ignore it if I'm on my rogue. I'm like, whatever.
Prayer Mending's really good.
Yeah, it is really good, especially on trash.
Yeah.
Because like most tanks aren't really keeping all the aggro and all the trash, and you don't really need to in BFD.
Yeah.
So Palm can be really powerful, just bouncing around to people.
Yeah, we did one where we had 2 priests, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll run homunculi. And then I kept forgetting because I never run homunculi, and people kept asking. They were like, so what does this homunculi do? And I'm like, well, does a lot.
Actually.
Well,
I push that button. Hold on. I only ran it on bosses though. I don't think I was supposed to run it on trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It just depends on the cooldown. I mean, if you're going to have it up for the boss, then definitely run it on trash. It's what a lot of people do with just cooldowns in general. They save them for the boss when they could have got an extra use on the trash to the boss, but you have to be really
if they
careful.
Die. Like there isn't really a cooldown on them. If they die, then there's a cooldown. But I'll have 100% uptime as long as they don't die.
Oh wow. I thought there would be some downtime. I didn't really know. Again, if they happened, they happened, and if they didn't, I didn't pay too much attention to it.
Yeah, I never played priest, so I have no idea.
But good to know actually that if they don't die, 100% uptime. That's good information.
Yeah, they die a lot in raid though. So
okay. Yeah, I leveled that warrior up and have been actually enjoying the tanking more than the DPSing. But yesterday I did something pretty exciting. I worked on a 3rd rogue. I started the stream with that rogue at level 23. I had like a bunch of quest greens and stuff. Got to level 24, and then I soloed Baron Silverlane in Shadowfang Keep, and then I soloed Lord Cobran in Wailing Caverns. And those 2 I was pretty confident I would be able to do. But the ultimate challenge was soloing Van Cleef in Dead Mines at level 24. I was trying to solo all of my pre-raid best in slot gear.
Oh my god.
And I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, but I went into Dead Mines, I mucked around in there, and I was able to kill Van Cleef at level 24, and I was super happy. Wow. Cruel Barb dropped on my first kill.
Nice.
And then I just looked it out of there, joined the first BFD pug I could, and believe it or not, Honed Darkwater Talwar, my best in slot main hand sword, drops, and I get it.
Oh my
gosh.
Dude, what?
Oh, it was an insane day.
What kind of privilege is Simon I's having here? What's going on now? The devs are passing him gear somehow.
Well, I got my main hand on my rogue just 2 days ago.
Very nice.
And I'd been waiting forever, and Pummel was in the raid on his warrior, and he was nice enough to pass it to me and not even roll. So I was like, thanks, Pummel. Oh. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
He knows he can scoop the 2-hand epic sword for free.
Well, and we're not really switching up. The only thing we've been switching up is tanks in that run, really. Like, and every once in a while, a ranged.
Tank into that run. I need a run for my warrior tank. I press under a lot.
We've had a different, tank the last 3 runs. It's Absarth's run.
Okay, I'll look for it. I'll see what's up.
Yeah, but so he knows he'll like basically the next one's just his period, you know. So and he has the chance at the two-handed sword. And I think that run he had just gotten the sword that drops off the first boss. Is that sword? I don't know. Whichever the two-hander is that drops off the first boss, which is not bad.
Oh, Fathom Blade.
Yeah.
It's got
Yeah,
like a
Fathom Blade.
daily burst proc thing, whatever, kind of cool.
Yeah. So I mean, he's up doing fine. Plus, he got like we said, male users. He got like 3 other pieces that run too, and so I think he was pretty happy. But it was super nice of him, and I was so excited. And then I went on to parse 2 other 99s and 2 98s to end out the raid. But yeah. So Mel, you're druid. We've worked up pretty fast. We were what, level 22 now? 21 or 22? Basically, the next time we play, I think we'll hit 25.
Yeah. I mean, you work up really fast when you one-shot everything and don't have to drink. I think we probably would have worked up faster if we just grinded mobs, but that's not fun. I liked quest.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. And if you hadn't been carrying dead weight for the first half.
True. Then you made me wait there forever while you figured out how to get your hunter's pet on that one tiger.
Oh, yeah. So the Eshin Vol or whatever tiger lion that you fight in the Barrens, it's a quest. You use a horn to call him.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted the skin for my cat for my hunters. So when we got to that quest, I was like, listen, I'll log into my hunter, bring him over here. You use your horn, I'll tame him. Then I'll jump on, use my horn, and we'll just complete the quest. Like, you could just get the quest on your hunter, use the horn, tame him, drop the quest, go back, get it again. You can do that, but I thought this would be faster. But then we get hit with a crazy... Well, first off, there was an alliance there, hunter hiding, like Shadow Meld. And so I was assuming they were trying to get that pet. I was like, well, I don't want to summon it now. Like, so we layered, and then all of a sudden we got this huge lag spike from hell for the next like 10, 15 minutes. We couldn't do anything. She had to reboot her computer. I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. It turned out it was the layer because we layered back off and we were fine after that, but it was really weird.
Yeah, it was very weird.
But yeah, I've been having fun with that. My hunter hit 25. I take that back. I'm currently 24, almost revered in Warsong Gulch. So the last 5 levels, I just made sure to make it to Ashen Vale every time. Have my hearth there. So I'm going to have that nice bow, which is not on any of the best in slot lists, which is weird for me because it's like 15 point something DPS, but it's not on any of the BIS lists, and the BIS list has greens that have way less DPS. So I wonder if it was just an oversight, just because a lot of people weren't getting revered or something, but I don't know. It's a freaking, looks like the best weapon outside of the raid. So I don't know, but I'm going to have that soon.
Yeah.
And I'm 1 bar from 25. I'm sitting, for some reason, the oil, there's the quest to get the leather boots in Ashenvale. I went and got the rope. And then right before I went out last night, I was trying to get the oil, but it wouldn't spawn there. So I just logged out with 1 bar to go till 25. I'm right by the oil so I could get my blue boots. So, yeah, Hunter's doing really good. Rogue.
Ziimm, I don't believe I've met you before. What are you up to? What do you like doing in World of Warcraft?
Well, like everybody else, playing a lot of Season. I have a tanking shaman. I leveled up a Pharaoh Druid. I'm working on a Warlock. And I have a warrior that I literally just started a little bit, like maybe an hour ago.
What server are you on?
I'm on Lone Wolf right now, but I have characters scattered all over every server right now. I have a list of alts I got to work on, but other than that, I'm just I raid log once a week on Wrath. I'm just still trying to get my Shadow Morn on my Unholy Death Knight, and that's the only reason I play Wrath.
Yeah.
But then I'm waiting for hardcore to come out with the solo self-found too. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
I really liked playing the solo self-found mode before the official servers came out, when it was just with the add-on. Because I felt like that restriction of not trading, not auction house, not anything like that, made it so you interacted with a whole bunch of existing game systems in a totally different way.
That you never would.
That you never would otherwise. You care so much more about what professions you pick. You're willing to go halfway across the world to the other continent, to this zone, that zone, just so you can get like some random quest reward green, that's like +3 agility or something. If you could go to the auction house, there's no way that'd be worth your time. Just go to the auction house, buy the same thing for 50 silver.
Oh, yeah.
But, when you can't do that, you try to get your gear anywhere you can, and you really, really dig deep on finding all these different ways to get upgrades and go through the world. That's just so different than the normal WoW experience. And frankly, I think the solo self-found restriction is way more interesting and fun than the hardcore restriction. Like, I'd be happy to just play solo self-found and let my character die. Fine. But the solo self-found is what was so cool and interesting to me.
I did have a good time with, the new way to play, but it was definitely more fun solo self-found and more memorable. And I was actually surprised. I knew it was going to be easier. I didn't know how much easier it was going to be without solo self-found. Like, it was so much easier. And I hear so many people like talking about hardcore that never tried solo self-found. They're like, I don't see what the fuss was about. And I just want to be like, well, it was about the solo self-found part that really was the fuss and really what made it challenging. And
but, yeah, I mean, I think the hardcore part of it just punishes you, and it makes you not take risks and not explore things.
Unless you're Graze for Days.
Really pushes you out into the world. Yeah.
Graze for Days takes so many risks, but he also has died probably more than anyone in hardcore history.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Aid Station in chat says, hoping Blizzard eventually adds solo self-found in official hardcore. They are. It is on the.
Well, they're adding self-found.
Solo. Yeah, so you'll still be able to group. You would still be able to group. I think that's the only difference. But you can't use the auction house, the mail. I think that's the only difference. Is like they're just not keeping you to one dungeon per run or grouping. But that was one thing about solo self-found that was just the most horrible part, is that was waiting for a tag on the mob because you had to do it one at a time. And that part wasn't fun. That was one of the few things that was a bad part about it. But
I pretty much ended up just skipping most of those quests. Like, screw it. I will go kill 10 generic mobs, get the same amount of experience as completing this quest, and move on with my life.
See, I'd always go to like the line and like not stand in the line and like stand over here and just hope, like, because I felt way too bad to steal it. But if somebody,
I thought you were gonna say you're gonna like shoot the mob.
No. But if I walked up and somebody says something rude or immediately, like I just gave them a chance to be mean to me in any way, then I was like, fuck you, I'm taking the tag. You just did this to yourself. Like
that reminds me, it was like day 1 of Season of Discovery. I was trying to get a quest mob in the starting zone. There are a couple other people standing next to it, and I was like, yo, invite me, I need this quest mob. And they just didn't invite me. They ignored me. And then like they actually like responded and said something. They're like, no, whatever, we got it. And then I just shadow striked the mob, took it, walked away. It's like, serves you right.
Yep.
I felt so good after I like offered to be nice to them, offered to join up, and they're like, no. And then I just take the mob and move.
Dude, that was one thing that I noticed real early on with the Rogue, because the Rogue always had a problem tagging mobs, and Shadow Strike was just like so good.
So good. Yeah, so good at tagging mobs.
Oh, it was so good. Like, and so like even working up, I would want to use Saber Strike all the time, but if I was in a contested area, a ton of people around, I'd always switch back just to get tags. Like that was the main reason, because it just was so good at tagging.
Yeah, I found when I'm fighting mobs that are like kind of easy, like lower level than me, and they die pretty quick, I like using Shadow Strike. Because it gives you a lot of damage too. You know, it's 20 energy and it's more damage than a Sinister Strike. It helps you move to them. It's really good. But when you start fighting the like more difficult mobs that take longer to kill, then you switch that over to Saber Slash and get that huge bleed damage.
Oh, I just got the Biss main hand dagger, so I look forward to finally getting to parse on that first boss.
Yeah.
With Backstab and Shadow Strike.
Yeah. I look at the rankings on that boss, and I'm just surprised how many people are sitting there just doing Sinister Strike on him. And it's like, if you look at the top parse, you look at a whole bunch of them. You know, some people are successful with Sinister Strike, and others are successful with Backstab. But it's like, you look at the damage per hit of Backstab and the damage per crit of Backstab, and you look at the same thing for Sinister Strike in the logs that are using Sinister Strike. And it's like, Backstab is like 200 more damage per ability use. It's like, these people are successful for reasons other than their decision to use Sinister Strike. It's like so obvious that Backstab is so much better on that boss. But it's, you know, things like, you know, good RNG, like just getting, you know, fewer auto attack misses, more crits, you know, fast kill times, you know, everyone in the raid being world buff. Like, all those things, like, have nothing to do with whether you chose Sinister Strike or Backstab. And they have a big impact. So it's like, you know, the Sinister Strike people, I always look at them and I'm like, this parse could have been so much better if that guy just used Backstab. So much better.
Ziimm, Shaman, we've been just like loving Shaman tanks. Have you been loving it? They seem just OP.
Oh man, it's an absolute blast. Like once I hit something with Molten Blast or even just Earthshock, nobody's ever taken it away from me. And my guild's speed running on Lone Wolf, and we did it with 9 people, and we're the number one North American 9-person BFD speed run right now.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, our rogue wasn't able to make it, so we're just
strategy, but
yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. Just we had our rogue dip out for the day, or he wasn't able to make it, and we're just like, well, let's just give it a shot. I mean, we got Greench, we got, you know, the buffs, the boon, all that jazz.
Oh,
whatever.
We have to talk about the Greench.
Yeah, the Greench, yeah, it's our 12th man or 11th man right there. But yeah, no, Shaman tank, super smooth right now. I do still sometimes run into mana issues, but I can just go dual wield and, you know, throw on water shield and keep going. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, pretty much every group I've been in that has a Shaman tank, whether it's dungeons or whether it's BFD, like the Shaman tank is so good right now.
Yeah, I think the Shaman tank's the only tank that's going to be keeping aggro on all the mobs as you kill trash. Like, so if you're thinking your tank sucks because they're not getting the trash, then they're just probably not a Shaman tank. But you don't need...
I can do my best on the warriors, and like sometimes I can hold on multiple mobs, but like if a mage starts going like living flame and arcane explosion and all that crap, I'm not keeping those mobs off of him. You know, I've learned that I have to like settle for like, okay, I'm just going to hold threat on the one biggest, baddest, scariest mob when that starts happening.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
But Shaman apparently doesn't have to make that sacrifice. I don't think.
Have you tried?
Shaman just like, yep, they're all mine. Thanks.
Have you tried taking on a rogue yet, Simon?
I did actually recently. I'd run.
I saw you talking about it in guild, so I wasn't sure if you got it going.
Yeah. Right after I finished one of my warrior raids, Hosito was forming up a group, and he needed a tank, and I was like, well, I need a lockout on my rogue, and I switched my runes over, and I switched my talent spec over, and it was fine. I mean, I was actually top DPS on like 3 or 4 of the bosses, I think.
I heard the pump.
You know, what number 1 or number 2 on all the bosses while being the tank. And like rogue doesn't really have any capability for a multi-target threat. That's kind of one of the definite weaknesses of it. But I think the strength of Rogue Tank is that it's a tank that's going to be doing a lot of damage while tanking. So if you want to make like a really high DPS group, it can be a good choice.
You know what I think they're going to do for like level 40? I think they're going to give a rune for Blade. What is it? Blade Fury? What makes you...
Blade Flurry, the
Flurry.
Multi-target
I think
damage ability in combat.
I think they're going to make a rune that you can toggle on and off, kind of like the way it works in Cataclysm, where you toggle it on and off, and you just do less damage, but it'll hit like 3 mobs, but you'll do like 25 to 40% less damage to them, right? But it'll do it to all,
that would still be
all 3.
Really good.
Yeah,
to be able to consistently hit multiple targets.
It would be, I think that's a huge fix that they could do pretty easily.
Yeah. I don't know what they'll do, but I really hope they do something to enable rogues to consistently hit multiple targets at once, whether it's give us some kind of Fan of Knives-like ability or...
Do you want Fan of Knives?
Blade Flurry rune like you were talking about.
Do you want Fan of Knives? I don't know that I want Fan of Knives. Like, it's fun in Wrath to watch it, watch all the numbers, but it's still just like one button. I don't know. And you have to give up so much to use Fan of Knives. I guess maybe if it was something that procced on an ability, I'd like it more. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
Yeah, Fan of Knives is, it's simple. It does what it does. And the way it's implemented in Wrath makes it super abusable with weapons that have procs and things like that. There's some like really degenerate things you can do with high mob counts, Fan of Knives, and weapons that have procs. We know that story. We did that all in Wrath of the Lich King. So, I'd be happy if we got Fan of Knives. I'd be more happy if they gave us something a little more interesting or just different that we could mess with. What I'd really like for future runes is I'd like some ability that restores energy. But I don't like the stuff that's in TBC, like energy whenever you do a critical strike or energy when you do an offhand auto attack. Because like all the rogues do those things all the time, regardless. I'd like it if you had some runes that were tied into particular abilities, like energy whenever you deal bleed damage. So then it emphasizes you to use Rupture, Saber Slash, Garrote, or energy whenever you deal poison damage. So, it emphasizes you to prioritize, keeping up deadly stacks and using Envenom and stuff like that. It ties into your other abilities rather than being something you're just always going to do no matter what.
Yeah. See, that's why I don't want Fan of Knives. I don't want to just go into every trash pack and hit 4 over and over again, It's
pretty easy to turn Fan of Knives into simply just the single best button for you to press.
Yeah, just be like, keep up, slice and dice on your main target, and fan. Like, I'd just be like, ugh. Like, I want something, like, I if I could hit 2 or 3 targets at a time consistently, and not just on a, cooldown ability, then like tabbing around would be completely fine and much more fun, I think, than just hitting one button. But I don't know. Yeah, well, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, we need to talk about, because I know we've all used them, we need to talk about the Grinch. So for people that don't know, the Grinch, I think you still have time to get it. I think it's gone the 1st. Okay, so
it's the second. Is it the first?
Yeah, it's the 1st.
You do have to be level 20 though. I tried to get it on my rogue. I leveled up recently. Couldn't get it until level 20.
Yep. Yeah, you have to be level 20. Luckily, I got both of my new characters to 20 before, but I guess when you hear this episode, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, I guess it's going to be a day too late. But yeah, it's one of the presents under the tree, and I believe it says it's a ticking present, like it's ticking it or something like that. But it's just one of the ones you get. You open it up, and it's got 3 uses. But this pet that comes out and helps you, like I'm sure people have used it in the past, but but it wasn't much because you were level 60, because it's level 58. And it's just like a little level 58. But a little level 58 is pretty big to 25s. So I don't know what you guys were doing, but we had one of the Sarth runs, we had 6 of them going at one time, and we popped them on the turtle boss, but we didn't clear the trash. That was a bad idea. We killed the turtle boss and then spent the next like 5 minutes chasing the Yetis around that were killing all the trash, just going crazy. And we finally got to the third boss and we were able to use it there, but then they ran out. So a lot of people have done the thing where they pop them after they kill the trash at Murloc boss. And then if you're fast, you have them until the end of the raid. That's what a lot of people are doing, but they cause problems. They run all over the place.
Yep. They run at everything. The Grinch, when you pop the Grinch, the players are no longer leading the raid. The Grinches are leading the raid. You follow wherever the Grinches go.
You thought homunculi were crazy. The Grinch takes the toll. But do you guys have any stories? Like,
the first raid I was in as a Grinch was when I was tanking. I was actually tanking on my warrior. This isn't the one with the warlock who refused to let me tank. I was actually tanking on my warrior. We were prepping for Gellihass, like making sure everyone was full mana and stuff. The healer was apparently AFK. Someone popped their Grinch, not realizing it would immediately run at the boss.
Oh no.
I saw it run at the boss, and I'm like, okay, the fight's starting one way or not. So I charge in and I start tanking. And I tell everyone on voice, like, we're going. The Grinch is in. We have to go now. And I tank the boss for about 12 seconds. And then I die. And I look at my death log. And it's just 12 seconds with literally 0 healing. Not like a Judgment of Light proc or like a Renew tick. Literally 0 healing. Just like, I had threat for 12 seconds and I stacked my Sunders. I did what I was supposed to. And it's just the healer was AFK. So we had no healing. And then I was dead.
Well, that'll do it.
And then the Grinch killed everything else?
Oh, yeah, they killed the boss anyways. Don't worry. It didn't matter. I was the only fatality. The healer came back like 10 seconds after I died. And then like it was like a hunter pet tanking it the rest of the time or something like that. I don't know. They managed to kill it. And of course the Grinch is doing like 60 or 70 DPS. It's good.
It's fine.
Oh man. Yeah, on the what was I trying to say? Lots of like, for me on the rogue, the Grinch on fights was ending up being like anywhere from 10 to the top end 15% of my overall damage. But on some of the casters, it was like 35% of their damage. I was like, damn, that is crazy. Nuts. A lot of people are upset about the parses, though.
Yeah,
I get that.
I understand for the people who care about that, but it's been a long time since I cared what Warcraft logs had to say. I mean,
bro,
it's just like, let me have my Grinch raid and let me,
leave me alone.
It's fun. Let's just have fun and not worry about what third-party ranking website says or bans or doesn't. Like, it's just one thing that happened a long time ago that just made me realize that I should stop caring about what this website says. It was like all the way back in Ulduar in Wrath of the Lich King. There's Yogg-Saron, right? And there's the hard mode of Yogg-Saron, where in the final phase, there's all these ads that spawn that are called Immortal Guardians. And if you do it in the hardest mode, those Immortal Guardians are actually immortal. They can never die. And Warcraft logs had the brilliant decision to, not brilliant, that's sarcasm, to count all damage dealt to Immortal Guardians for a player's damage parse. So you could look at like literally every top log. You could scroll through the top 100 and probably every single one of them would have the final 15 or 20 seconds of that parse being just spamming AoE abilities on the Immortal Guardians that are spawned. And, you know, anyone who understands how that fight works knows that a player spamming AoE abilities on the Immortal Guardians in the final 15 or 20 seconds is contributing absolutely zero to the success of that group. Nothing. They are not helping. That's the time to burn the boss. And like, if they're going to go through the entire phase, Warcraft logs, without changing this rule and just letting that be, it's just like, there's just always going to be these like stupid things that don't involve the success of the group, that just involve, you know, doing something degenerate to score on a third-party website. I'm just like,
well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the ways to get 100 parses on the Murloc boss is just let one person do all the damage. Like,
yeah, that's
basically,
yeah. There's always going to be some stupid strategy to, you know, get a higher ranking, and I just can't be asked to care about that anymore, man.
I was hoping Crix would come here because we were talking about it.
He just messaged me. Let me see what he said. You keep going. Let me read.
Yeah, he said something about it's going to screw up parses later on, and I was under the impression parses were on a week-to-week basis, because like I've definitely had 99 parses that stayed 99 parses, like an early 99 parse that stayed a 99 parse, way, like it's still on record as a 99 parse, like way down into when I'm doing like way more damage later. So like I thought parses were locked in weekly, and he seems to think that they're not, but he might have been just talking about 100 parses. I don't know. But
you're saying something different though here, Bob, because you were saying you thought they reset weekly. And now you're saying that you've had 99 parses that have stayed there for a long time.
I meant like everybody's parse resets weekly, like, and you're parsing that week, and then that it's on a weekly basis. Like you're competing that week, and then the next week you're like there's no parses. Like you're competing.
It doesn't disappear though.
No, it doesn't disappear.
I think that's right. I think, you know, it's a 1 or 2 week period. And, you know, a parse is a percentile ranking. It's a comparison to how well everyone else did in whatever period you're looking at. So I think when you do a boss, I think it is like a 1 or 2 week period that it's comparing to. But then like on your character page, it'll have your like best historical performance. So like if you got a 99 the first week, that's still your best, you know, that still would be your best historical performance. Your best performance on this boss was a 99 in week 1. And that's different than like, you know, how that performance would rank against today's metrics. I may not care a lot about Warcraft logs, but I care a lot about math. That's basically
there it is.
Crix did message me. He said something came up. He won't be able to make it.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay. We're doing fine. I was just hoping he'd come out because I was hoping to clear that up, but maybe he just meant that you're always going to see a bigger number on your earlier parses, and you're never going to beat your own bigger number or something. You know?
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Typically, if you have a strong performance early on, it can be hard to beat in the future, because early on in a phase, you know, there's a more equalized gear level, and like people haven't figured out all the like advanced strategies yet. So it's easier, like if you're just a good player and have a good raid group, you know, it's generally more likely that you score a high percentile performance early on in a phase rather than later on.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So what we're saying is that the Grinch stole Parsmas.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's so much fun though. I hope they don't nerf it. It's just fun. But
it was cool. When I was trying to solo Van Cleef, I had Grinch as my backup. I was like, man, if I can't figure out a way to like actually solo it, I'm just gonna pop the Grinch and get him to kill the boss for me.
There you go.
That's a good call. I didn't think about that.
You didn't even need it.
Didn't end up needing it, no.
Oh man, that's great. Yeah, and then there was another thing. So Darkmoon Fair. So they said it was coming every 2 weeks, and some people read that as 1 week on, 2 weeks off, 1 week on, 2 weeks off. some other people like me read it as 1 week on, 1 week off, 1 week on, 1 week off. Because it's starting every 2 weeks. So it was about 50-50 of everybody in every raid I was in and every conversation I had about it. So I just tweeted at Gren and asked, is it 1 week on, 1 week off? Will it be here on the 1st? And he said, yeah, I believe that's how it works. So I basically, if you don't you get that last dark moon fair buff, and if you don't die and do fast runs, you can get 3, maybe even 4 runs in with DMF. And
yeah, I mean, you can have permanent DMF if you refresh your DMF. Do your raid lockout, then refresh your DMF. On the last day of the fair, and like you said, you don't die ever in raid, which that might be a little difficult to achieve over the course of multiple raids.
My rogue did it. My druid did not.
A lot.
Yep. Yeah. So, but it's pretty cool to be able to have it so often. Some people were saying, just let it be just have them in both cities. And I don't like that at all. I love the challenge of having to go and get it from the Alliance side. It's a little sus with the guards in Goldshire. That part does kind of suck with them abusing the guards to help them fight us off. But it's a neat thing to have to go do, every other week. So I do kind of think that's cool, and I want to keep that. But would be nice if the guards, weren't so close to the fair, because that's not the way it is in Mulgore. So it's a little unfair. But
I mean, even if the guards were level 25, it'd be all right. But they're level 40, I think.
I think maybe. I'm not sure. They're question mark. They're run. But if they lower them, it would just I don't know how you fix that besides just moving the Dark Moon Fair out, which is not an option. So
move way too many assets. That's not gonna. They ain't gonna do that.
Yeah, and they don't want to make Goldshire dangerous, for getting raided and stuff too, overly dangerous. But as we move on,
I don't know.
Things are gonna get
I don't
raided.
think it's that big of a deal. So what? It's a little imbalanced one way to the other.
Yeah, there's always different things, So, but I think it's cool, and I think it's cool that we're just going to be able to keep getting it. It's funny because all through vanilla, I thought I hated world buffs.
Oh, no, world buffs so fast, dude.
They have just they've grown on me so hard, and I guess I didn't miss them until they were gone, and then. Yeah, I mean, you live and you learn, right?
Oh yeah,
I change my mind all the time, and
I wonder, do you think in the future phases that they gave us a new world buff with Black Fathom Deeps? You think they're going to give us a new world buff with Nomergon? And do you think we're still going to be able to use Boon of Black Fathom and whatever the Nomergon buff is? Are we going to have 12 world buffs when we get to max level?
It's interesting because I don't know how that's going to work. And there's also people that say, Bobka, I don't know. I don't think it's a prediction, but he'd like it to where when we go to 40, the BFD raid just goes ahead and scales up to level 40. But that could be a dangerous thing, because then all of a sudden you have 2 raids to run on each character, and it's harder to work up to 40. I really enjoy having all the different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I mean, I think if it stayed
fast,
at level
though.
25 and the world buff stayed relevant, it could turn into kind of a chore and be kind of annoying to, be going back into that low level content to farm the world buff. Or maybe, you have fresh people leveling and they want to get carried through the raid, and the level 40 guy can probably solo it. And maybe it's not that big a deal. Who knows?
And I think you can go in as a group. You don't even have to go in as a raid. So you could be getting people
already.
Good.
Oh, yeah. It's already been 5.
experience.
I did see, what was that? Guzu made the video of 5-manning it. And there was a video of a warlock soloing the first boss.
Oh,
I
wow.
wonder. I think Warlock's probably the strongest soloing class with that big tank rune, self heals.
Oh, yeah.
Able to restore mana.
The Warlock stayed in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did see that video. That was he was funny. He's like, this took me many hours, so please give me a like. Oh, it's cracking me up. But yeah, I think it'll be good experience. Like, it'll be a way to boost people, like, going forward too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
yeah, we'll see what they do in the future.
Yeah, if they add that on, it'll be nuts. I assume
keeping the world buffs relevant, not boosting the level of the raid or not. We'll see. Adding more world buffs. I mean, just imagine how insanely juiced up your characters would be if you had Boon of Black Fathom plus something from Nomergon plus something from the next raid, and then all the world buffs that are normally accessible at 60.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Well,
I mean, if you die, you might as well just get kicked out of the raid at that point because your character's like 6 times as powerful. Oh my God, it'd be hilarious.
Well, and then something that's really fun with the buff is to just like, that's why I went straight to Mulgore, because we wanted the flight path to Thunder Bluff so that the majority of time we level, we have the buff, and the buff is really great damage wise, but boy, the 20% move speed.
Oh boy. Yeah.
OP for leveling. And it's fun.
The rogue I started, I made the character, then I mailed the character some gold and some bags, and then I logged off for a while. And when I logged in and I actually started, I literally stood in the starting zone and looked in LFG chat to find someone summoning me to Thunder Bluff. And then I got summoned, went to the mailbox in Thunder Bluff to retrieve my gold, to pay the Warlock, got my world buff, and then began, actually doing anything. It's like, that buff's so good. Set my Hearthstone to Thunder Bluff too, of course.
Yeah, and it incentivizes you to like not play dumb too and not die while you're leveling. So it's kind of a neat thing there. But
incentivizes you to do that, but doesn't make you delete your character if you make a mistake.
Yeah.
Yep, you just lose time, and if you want to go get it again. But I think it's like, it's really neat. They might make it to where it just doesn't work past 30 or something like that. I don't know, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do, because at level 60, people just be like, all right, have you gotten your buff thing yet? Have you gotten the trinket? Nope. All right, go solo, BFD. and go get our buff, because like right now it drops constantly, but it's like the Ani head, you can only do it once. So it'd be interesting. It'd be very interesting. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and move on to
time for the news.
All right. The only thing I got for Wrath is the current DPS rankings, and I threw up a little bit in my mouth when I looked at this. I hadn't looked for a bit because I've been super into Season of Discovery, but Fury Warrior's on top, which is fine. Feral Druid is second, Fire Mage third, then Beastmaster Hunter fourth, Retribution Paladin fifth, Marksman Hunter sixth, and Affliction Warlock seventh, Survival Hunter eighth, Shadow Priest ninth, Arcane Mage 10th. Then we get to 11. We get to all of the crappy ones, and it's both DKs, Assassination Rogue, Arms Warrior, and then Combat Rogue. What the fuck happened? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, rogues being so low is just disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I had you on for this show, Simon, because I don't know if it makes you sick, but it makes me not even want to play Wrath. And it also makes me wonder why I'm in the top 5 of DPS on a lot of fights.
Well, I mean, like, you can be an above average player. You can be grouped with, perhaps below average players, and that's going to shake up those rankings. You could be better geared than other people in your group. You could have better RNG. Just get lucky.
I think I'm better geared than a lot of rogues. Like, I think my raid is nice and is nicer to me than most raids are.
There's a lot of explanations for why your individual raids damage rankings are not going to line up with, an aggregation of, hundreds of thousands of parses and looking at, the 95th percentile performance for every class. Look, I mean, I kind of gave up on Wrath of Lich King a while ago. My guild, the leadership stepped down. Like, we weren't having fun really anymore. So I'm not mad about this. I'm not upset about this because I'm not invested in it anymore. I mean, we got our heroic Lich King kill week 5. No buff, and then we didn't do another heroic Lich King kill because we broke into doing like split raids, 2 balanced rosters instead of like 1 stacked roster. So we weren't even like trying to kill heroic Lich King again. But eventually, like, people just got tired of it, and like I feel like for me, it was like doing all these bosses where like you had to be laser focused, and if you didn't react in a fraction of a second, the entire raid's gonna wipe, and one person screwing up one mechanic can wipe the whole raid type of thing. It's just like, yeah, it's like fun once, and then you defeat the challenge, and then it's so frustrating to do over and over. It is not fun or relaxing to be killing a boss where you have to be so laser focused like that, and you get so punished for anyone making a mistake. So like, I'm just not invested in Wrath of Lich King. But the one thing I will say is, even now, what is it, week 12 or week 11 rankings here? Week 11 in the article. Still has Assassination Rogue above Combat Rogue. And when Icecrown Citadel came out, I was like, listen, guys, there's all of these people posting, being like, Combat Rogue, time to shine, Assassination is dead, you have to respect combat. If you play Assassination, so many people were telling me this. And I was like, nah, dude, I don't think combat's going to pull ahead until you're like literally full bis geared, and then it's going to be like that much ahead. That was my prediction. So looking at this at week 11 and Assassination Rogue, we might be, number 15 amongst all the classes, but Assassination Rogue still, like I predicted, it is, this far ahead of Combat Rogue.
I've got some thoughts on that.
Yet.
So I think the reason Combat Rogue, everybody prefers just to have a Combat Rogue instead of an Assassination Rogue, is because Arms Warrior was so bad. Well, now it looks like they're the same. But so those are the only 2 places to get the physical damage buff, right? Whereas the Assassination Rogue, you get the crit buff from something else that we use in the raid. So I think that was a big reasoning for a lot of people just to do Combat Rogue over Assassination Rogue. But I wonder, with us changing all of our stuff over to almost having full armor pen, like, I feel like I really kind of want to test out a different build with like improving Eviscerate, maybe switch out the Rupture rune for the Eviscerate rune. I don't know. I forget what the or not rune, glyph. I forget what the glyph does, but
glyphs, there's talents. Yeah. We know what you mean.
If you can get the crit up on it, like, I wonder, but then like, I don't think it factors into armor pen with it. Like, so I don't know, but
there's a lot of things about Eviscerate. There's like, it just doesn't scale your character stats into damage as well as Rupture does. You have to have a like really extreme circumstance to make Eviscerate be a generally better button to press than Rupture. Like, you have to not have a Feral Druid pressing Mangle. Like, Mangle gives a 30% bonus to Rupture.
Which is big,
Eviscerate costs 35 energy when Rupture only costs 25. Saving 10 energy, that's a really big deal, because then you're going to be able to spend that 10 energy on something else that deals damage. So it's very difficult to find a circumstance where Eviscerate becomes a generally better button to press than Rupture, as far as I'm aware.
Well, then also, Combat Rogues are still being forced, I think in most raids, to do armor pen because even if you have 3 warriors now, they're making the excuse, well, we have 2 axes. Do you really want to waste all that DPS, we just keep getting pushed down. Like when 3 warriors could sunder easily, they're still going to talk you into doing armor pen, which,
Look, I've been making rogue content for this game since, the late vanilla classic days. And this is an argument that will never, ever, ever, ever end. Does the warrior have to sunder or do I have to expose? And the argument is always the warriors trying to come up with a reason why they shouldn't sunder. And it's always the rogues trying to come up with a reason why they shouldn't expose. And it's like, it's very, very difficult to find someone who is trying to find a genuine or objective, what's the best raid DPS type of solution. And, the attempts I've seen of that suggest like a difference of 50, maybe 100 DPS difference for one class to do it over another, when they're trying to be objective. And then you just kind of sit back in your chair and you look at your Deathbringer Sarfang, raid damage, and like your raid's entire DPS is like 230,000. And you're like, and when you see that from that perspective, I just stopped caring.
I just wish.
Who cares about 100 DPS in a raid where you're doing 230,000 DPS? Just like have a rotation.
That's what I say.
One guy do it 1 week, make another guy. Everyone gets their chance to parse. Everyone gets their chance to be a team player and suck.
Well,
but it's my parse and I want it now.
What's funny?
True.
What's funny is I was switching off with another rogue and I'm watching it all the time. Like it's kind of like when I'm a warrior and like I'm not the one doing battle shout and someone doesn't keep it up at all times. And I just I'm like, fine, I'll do battle shout. I'll do it. Like, it's like, a man doing laundry bad so that he doesn't have to do it. His wife's just like, fine, I'll do it. Like, it's the same thing. Cause I'm like, okay, your uptime is like 85%. We need at least 98, dude. Come on. Like, that's like, come on. And so I ended up just being like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. So, but that's the thing. That's the thing with Wrath that I think we're getting to that point. And I know you feel the same way that I do, Simon Eyes. And you just said it. Like, it's just, there's so many mechanics now. Rockman said the same thing when he was on the show recently. It's like, you want to have a beer or two with the boys. You want to concentrate on honing your DPS and like doing fun things like that. Having these unbelievable, crazy hard raids, I don't think is like what the majority of us want. And I think BFD has been so much fun. Like, I do wish it was a little bit longer just for speed running fun. But like
the speed run's down to like 14 minutes now. From pulling the first boss to killing Akumai. It's insane.
Well, but only if they go and clear the trash first, which like
I don't know. I didn't actually look at the run. I just saw the timer and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, there's definitely ways you can like pull trash at the end of certain bosses and stuff like that.
They're going through and killing all the trash in like they're killing all the trash up to the third boss and coming back, I believe is what they're doing. Then they're starting their log at that point.
My like pretty good groups that aren't doing like pre-clearing stuff are like typically clearing in like 20, 22 minutes. They're trying to go fast, but they're not trying to be degens,
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
well, I hope and that's the problem. See, back to Warcraft logs, they haven't made trash rules, so people are getting to do. Did they make them finally?
Yeah, they have them.
Oh, then I don't know if 14 minutes is the actual record then now.
Yeah, I know. They posted it on their Discord. So
okay, good.
Yep. So they definitely posted them, but there's still like runs that are like 15 minutes, and I'm like, I don't get it. I'm gonna have to do some research on it. But right now, our run's looking like around 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, like the thing that slows you down so much is the stupid frost novas on the way to that third boss. Those could slow you down so bad.
All right, I got it. It was uploaded today, the world record speed run with apparently today's rules, it was uploaded 3 hours ago, was a 13-minute, 33-second run.
Damn.
Bro, what? Oh, with the
Damn.
green.
Was it a green? Oh, it was probably a green trade.
Oh, I'm sure.
Let's see.
Star said he did
Is it a
one with
green trade?
Alondo with 10 Grinches.
I'm
Mine
looking
was
at
with 10
this.
Grinches.
Looked at their top 2 damage dealers. I'm not seeing any Grinches in this raid.
That hurts my soul.
That's like insane.
Just let me think they have Grinches, all right?
Right?
There's no Grinches here.
The Grinch
They
can
have,
screw up speed runs too. You know.
They have 2 ferals, 3 warriors, a rogue, a hunter, a ret paladin, and mage, and a priest.
18-second Baron kill.
That's a melee cleave group.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Baron killed in 18 seconds. Akumai killed in 90 seconds. Wow.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I mean,
Crazy.
yeah, I think like that's where I'm at, and that's why I'm going to try Cataclysm, but I'm pretty worried that I'm going to feel kind of the same way. Especially, everybody says it's way harder than ICC.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being way harder, but I didn't prog the entire first raid tier. I quit when we had about half of it done. I don't know. I quit basically when Star Wars: The Old Republic came out. Like that day is when I quit. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that it's just really weird that Rogue is so far down, and I think it's wrong. Like one of the few pure DPS classes. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you feel, Sim?
At least you're not a hero class towards
Yeah,
the bottom. Come on,
yeah. You've been
supposed to be
king.
the new shiny toy, and I'm down there at the bottom. Oh, hey,
You've been king the entire expansion. Like Rogue is
still. Come on.
To be fair, so have rogues.
Rogue. Well, Assassination
Yeah,
Rogue was winning like early on and stuff. But I mean, just number one has been unholy the entire game, except for a few outliers.
Well, now like since Shadowmourne, like Fury scales way better, Ret Paladin scales way better. Then you have all the hunters, and then even Feral, they kind of came out of nowhere.
Ret Paladin's got 2 legendaries this phase. I mean, they got Shadowmourne and they got Tiny Abomination in the jar, which the item name's purple, but it's actually a legendary for Ret Paladins.
It is, man. Like it can do so much of their damage. It's unbelievable.
But
I just remember the good old days. My favorite part of Wrath was Nax Ramus when the warlocks were crying because they couldn't even cast a single Seed of Corruption on the trash mobs before all the rogues killed them with Fan of Knives.
Phil Striker,
They just dumped them.
Phil Striker was so fun during that time. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Oh well. All right, well, on to the next thing. The Season of Discovery DPS rankings are out. This is as of December 19th. I'm going to click
These ones are good.
I'm going to click the link though, because there should be an updated one, right? Yeah, if you click the link right below, there's an updated one. And Warriors and Rogues are just killing it. Followed by Hunters, Feral Druids. Warlocks are up there now. Paladins are middle of the pack. Back down you go, Paladin. Then Mages. Then Balanced Druids, coming up here now again. Classic Ghost probably happy about that. DPS Priest is still just not there, but I really hope they don't mess with DPS Priest too much because they're going to have a huge power spike come level 40 with Shadow form. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I think you just kind of hold out and wait. And Homunculi, everybody's going to want a Shadow Priest come phase 2. So, yeah. So I hope they don't mess with that one too much. You guys have time.
It was like a week ago when all the Warriors were crying, like, "Oh, this feels so bad," and hey, check that out.
And they just discovered this mechanic. Turns out it was fine all along. They just didn't know how their abilities worked.
Wild.
Weird.
Yeah, well,
I'm excited to see, future phases. I'm excited to see, and my hope is that they significantly shake up the balance, with every phase. Is
that'll be cool.
As much as I want to be on top every single phase, and I will do my best to be on top every single phase. I think kind of the spirit of Season of Discovery is that everyone's gonna have their turn to be super OP. Is what I hope happens.
Well, I think Alando is responsible for a huge amount of DPS warriors upping their game, and Simonize, I think you are a reason that a ton of us rogues have stepped up our game. Using your video, I was able to go from 80s parses, same gear the next week, and I got 2 99s, a 97, 98. I still only had like an 87 tops on the first boss, but I was lazy. I didn't even switch to Sinister Strike. I just still did my normal rotation with the ability that doesn't even do anything. Both of them, like both runes. I had Envenom I had Deadly Brew on, Envenom, and what's it called? So I guess in 87 parts, like using all runes that don't do anything for you on the boss, it's not too bad. But I have the dagger now, so I plan to parse on that. But I mean, I'm sitting at all 99s except for 3 now, and those are 98s and like 97s. So that's all you. Like, you told me the strategies. Like, I would have never thought to not slice and dice on the turtle boss, like, you know, like, and use Venom instead. Like, the only time I'll use slice and dice is if, like, say I got like 1 left and he's got almost no life left or something, you know, like I'll go ahead and pop that for the end. But like, and then using gloves right after in Venom and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I would have never thought to just in Venom and not worry about slice and dice. And it's so huge for the parse on the turtle boss. So yeah.
The turtle boss takes bonus damage from spells after the aqua shell is broken. So that's how you end up, like, normally in Venom can crit for like 650 to 750, maybe 800 if you have really high attack power. That's how you end up with like a 1500 in Venom crit on Gamera. And I like, not only is it just like the on average, I think, best finishing move to use on that boss, it's also really fun because every time you press it, you're just hoping you see that crit pop up for like 1400, 1500 damage.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. But if more classes had someone like you or Alando really looking into stuff, I think we would see them raise up, because the knowledge,
I think
there's not a ton of those videos out. You know what I mean?
You thank you for your praise. I try my best, and I think what happens with a lot of advice videos that I watch and advice that I see other people give is they focus on these kind of like smaller optimizations and they like super overemphasize them. And then people, you know, pay attention to these things that just aren't that impactful to their actual damage output. So what I've tried to do, especially with my Season of Discovery guides, is I put 2 out. One that's like, here's the basics. Here's what you like actually need to know to be able to be successful. And then the next video was, here's all the advanced sweaty tactics that you don't really need to do, but you can, type of thing. And it's like really like focus on the stuff that matters and make sure you do that stuff first. Then if you want to get involved with all that other crap. And, you know, just focusing on the stuff that actually matters, I think really helps people. And having like good theory crafting backup, like, you know, a simulation or spreadsheet tool to help analyze different talent specs and different abilities and different options helps you weed out the bad builds much faster. And, you know, as a community, settle on whatever like the most optimal or highest performing build is, you know, you hone in on that much faster when you have a good theory crafting base and good analysis tools at your disposal.
And you seem like you can see it from a high end perspective, like from above. Because, like, for instance, okay, so all the rogues are basically using an assassination build, you know, that goes down to specifically skills that give you more energy or extra combat points after certain things. And what I was doing wrong initially, and I learned from your video, is try to always be doing 4 to 5 bubbles, whether you do slice and dice or in Venom. And what I was doing was trying to like do a 1 or 2, like I still start out with a 1 point slice and dice because that gives me time to get 5 bubbles up, and then do a 5 bubble slice and dice, and then that gives me time to get a 5 bubble in venom and go right back to slice and dice too, depending on the fight, right? But I was trying to do like a 1 or 2 bubble slice and dice like I do in Wrath, and then try to do it in Venom, and then try to do it like, and it really just wasn't as good, and you weren't getting the energy returns that you would be getting for the most part, right?
So, I mean, you think about that. Think about, you know, how many times you spent 25 energy on slice and dice in that fight. If you're doing a bunch of small ones, you're spending so much more energy on that than if you do just a couple of big ones. And when you save that energy, that means you get to use more saber slashes. And it's kind of the same idea with the envenoms and the ruptures. You're just much more efficient with your energy expenditure when you use high combo point finishing moves. Slice and dice is a little bit of a weird one because like you get way more duration per point at lower point values than you do at higher point values. So it's one where it's more okay to do low point ones, but you know, high combo point finishing moves is generally a very good idea. And that talent, that strong talent in Assassination is Relentless Strikes. The one that gives you an energy return when you do finishing moves. The Ruthlessness talent that gives you combo points is a little more like there was nothing else good to take, so you just take it. But yeah, getting more energy and just simply doing more abilities is like the really key thing. A lot of people tell me like, oh, they want the improved backstab talent in combat, or they want opportunity talent because they like seeing the really big number on their backstab. And frankly, I like seeing that too. But, you know, they focus on like making each ability cast do a lot more damage rather than kind of the bigger picture of simply doing more abilities is going to result in more total damage, even if they're a little bit less per ability.
Yeah. And and I think that's just, there's a lot of people struggling with, you know, like there's no one out there telling enhancement or elemental shaman, like, you know, there's nobody like diving deep into that, you know, and there really isn't even really people really doing that in Wrath even, you know. It's a lot of, so some classes are championed by a creator that really can help everybody so much in that part. So, I mean, guys, the market's open right now on a lot of classes, so there's it might be time for you to make your videos. They don't have to be awesome and, you know, no hit Jerome style, like where everything's coming from outside the screen.
So good, such good editing.
He's such good.
Wild.
But you don't need that. Kipso does a lot of good guide ones, and he's hilarious. Like how the way he like says different things, and he just has gameplay in the background. So I mean, you can just make a video with good information and have success.
I mean, some of my best performing videos are literally a PowerPoint presentation and me talking over the PowerPoint presentation. Like, I knew it'd be better if I went and collected, you know, gameplay footage clips for every little thing I talked about, but that'd take me like an extra 12 hours of work to locate every little thing. Like, it doesn't have to be a like super high editing effort type of thing. If you've got a good idea, if you've got, you know, some proven, you know, good performance you're able to put out, like make a mage guide. You know, what are your tips and tricks for Baron Aquinas, Gamu, you know, boss by boss, tips and tricks in BFD. If you've got good performance, you know what's going on, make the guide. You'll collect views.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I mean, I'm having a blast. I'm hoping just like Simon Eyes that we kind of like see shifts. Like I do think a lot of casters are going to come online at level 40. So
I think a lot of classes really just don't have their full toolkit right now, and that's heavily influencing the balance of the classes.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree. Like you get more of your toolkit, you get spell power gear, stuff like that. Like I think casters are going to come on pretty damn hard next phase.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last piece of news here is damage reduction by 20% in Warsong Gulch. unless you're a hunter pet, and I assume warlock pet too. But yeah, so Warsong
Nobody's
Gulch,
mad
I
about that.
guess. So if you have the 5% helmet too, then it can be a total of 25% damage reduction. But the 5% is also crit reduction too. The 20% damage reduction is not crit reduction. So there's a little bit of difference there. But do you guys think this is a good thing?
I think it's kind of like a simple solution that's maybe not a perfect solution to a kind of difficult problem of like all these classes got all these new runes that make them do a crap load more damage, and you don't really want PvP. You know, as much as I try to make my PvP be me just one-shotting people, you don't want generally PvP to be, you know, players one-shotting other people without a chance for them to react. And I think it could very quickly become that without some kind of measure against the added power of the runes. So, you know, while maybe like individual ability tuning might have, could have made a more perfect solution, I think this is good. And I think it is, you know, a simple way that's also, you know, easy to understand. I think what Blizzard definitely could have done better here is they could have communicated this like up front that this has been going on. It's like in Warsong, we have a 20% damage taken by players reduction effect to counter the burst. If people just knew that ahead of time, they communicated it rather than like discovering it. I feel like some of the reactions are just like mad that it wasn't clearly communicated. And, you know, maybe you say like players should discover this stuff on their own, you know, because that's what it's about, discovering about the game. Or you could say like maybe they should have communicated this. I don't know. There's two sides to that coin.
Yeah. It is weird they didn't communicate it because they've been really good about that. I wonder if they accidentally turned it on before they were ready. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts, and sometimes people don't get the memo, and so yeah. And I think they still work from home part of the time too. So I'm not sure on that. That's just speculation. I don't know, but it could be that it just got turned on accident, and it was planning on coming, and they just hadn't sent the word out yet. But I don't know. I think Classic Go in the chat says that he wished it was like a 20% stamina buff rather than a damage nerf because he hates seeing the smaller numbers. That might have been a thing. I mean, that might have been a thing that they could have done.
Yeah.
But then stacking stamina would be a huge thing you'd be trying to do. I guess you're still trying to do it, though. You're still trying to get as much stamina on your PvP gear as you can. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it always feels worse when there's stuff taken away from the player, right? And it always feels better when you're given stuff. So like if there's just an Ashenvale or a Warsong Gulch, you know, stamina buff that you get when you enter the zone or whatever, it'd probably make you feel a little bit better. But now you're seeing smaller numbers, like, oh, that doesn't feel that good, you know. But I mean, I think it serves its purpose. It makes things a little bit more even, I guess, sort of.
I think something like this kind of needed to be done without resilience, and it kind of is. I kind of like it more than resilience because I don't have to collect a whole nother set of gear that takes forever in BGs and stuff. Like I'm not really a big fan of that. I like that you just get it, you know, and like that part I do like because I just don't like having to collect all the resilience gear and then try to decide the happy medium between DPS and resilience gear. And like
it never feels good equipping resilience gear on your, you know, damage dealer character.
Yeah, and so that's just kind of like the way it is. But dude, Simon, I kind of wanted to talk to you about this. I love the backstab build for 1v1ing with the rogue, right? But I think quick shot is slept on in group PvP. Like I'll be at Warsong and I will slow everyone down so that everyone can catch up, and it's a 10-second cooldown, and I'm using it all the time. And you have a slow gun, it does really good damage. Like it's unbelievable how much damage it does.
Yeah, I've done Warsong with a couple different talent specializations. And when I did it as, when I put Quick Draw Rune on, I figured out the same thing as you, that Quick Draw in Warsong Gulch is very good. I was basically using it on cooldown. I constantly had opportunities where I felt like Quick Draw was good and doing something effective. So yeah, open world PvP, I'm going Slaughter from Shadows and, improve backstab if I want to bother changing my talent specs. Change the runes easily, but, talent spec, sometimes a PvP in the raid spec, and it's fine. Sometimes I go to an actual dedicated PvP spec, kill people even better. But yeah, different circumstances lead to, different things being good. And I think that's actually great. Making it so, it's not just one build or one rune set for everything. That's good design of the runes.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it's cool. You can really min-max it with extra pieces of gear, to swap out quicker, so you don't have to do the cast time of changing the rune.
Mm-hmm.
And in Rogue, as Shobek figured out early on, you can do macros to you can shadow strike, and while you're shadow striking, it switches your gloves to the new rune, and then you're back on Saber Slash.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of neat how you can do that. It is kind of a rogue thing because you can do it anytime you vanish, but it's still kind of cool. You can do that type of stuff, but anybody can swap it out during the raid and make it, a more min-max situation, which I thought was neat.
The Shadow Strike into other rune swap thing, that did get nerfed. You can't do that anymore. Yeah. It'll induce a big cooldown on Saber Slash if you try to use that macro swap type of thing.
I guess that's fair.
You can still vanish and be out of combat and then just change your gear. That's a normal rune swap. But trying to cast a Shadow Strike, which is a glove rune for the audience who don't know, maybe not rogue players, cast a Shadow Strike, which is an attack ability that will put you into combat. And then simultaneously switch your glove into a different glove to be able to use a different glove rune. That's not how you're supposed to be able to swap runes.
And something that, I think, if there was some sort of charge room, Warriors maybe could have done it if there was some sort of charge room or something type of deal, whether, they get something for charge, but then switch the rune out during the charge, because there's a split second before you're in combat when you do the charge and stuff like that. There'd be a lot of ways, but there'd be few classes that could utilize that type of thing. So it's probably fair that they nerfed that. I'm glad I never set that up.
Yeah, I used it for a little while, and then I was it wasn't before it got nerfed. It was not working super consistently for me. And it seemed to me like something I wasn't supposed to be doing. So I don't know, I just went on my way with, just Shadow Strike. And then it got nerfed later and I was okay, wasn't using that anymore anyways.
Yeah, I wonder how the damage reduction thing will come. Go was asking in chat about, will Arathi Basin start with it, but will they even increase it more as we get more and more powerful? I don't know.
Perhaps. I would assume that that's something that's staying around. That would be my guess, of at least 20%. And yeah, maybe if they think, things are, getting too crazy, maybe they jack it up even more to be 30%.
Well, and how long will that 5% damage reduction be on the helm be BIS unless there's another helm that's got the 5% on it,
I'd bet they put another helm out, with the, they put their helm out with the Warsong reputation. If they're giving us a Arathi Basin next phase, maybe they have a Arathi Basin helm that has, a little bit of actual stats and that 5%, crit reduction and damage reduction stat.
I think it'd be funny if they put bracers or something and you're just still wearing the head.
I was just thinking that.
Unless it doesn't stack. If the tooltip reads that this is, they
unique or whatever.
They name the buff or something, or they name it the same and it's unique, kind of like the epic gloves and chest and stuff are. So like warriors can't wear both of them, stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. But I do think this is a good change. I mean, what do you guys think? In listening at home, let us know in the comments of the YouTube. And listeners, write into us or send us a voicemail. All right, guys, let's move on to.
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right, so just real quick, I'll go over kind of the timeline we have right now, the rough one. So we opened November 23 in Phase 1. Phase 2 is January/February 2024. I think it's going to be February 9th. Is that the one? I think it's going to be February 9th. But a lot of people seem to think that it's going to be... hold on. Is it the 9th? No, the 8th. I think it's going to be February the 8th. But a lot of people seem to think late January. I just don't think that, because February 8th would be 10 weeks exactly. And they said 8 to 10 weeks over and over at BlizzCon, every dev I talked to. But I don't know. It's coming sometime January, February. That reads to be either late January, early February. And then the Phase 3, level 50, will be spring 2024. Phase 4, level 60, will be summer 2024. And Phase 5, level 60, will be autumn 2024. We can
end game content updates, it says.
Yeah.
Not specific.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one, and end game activities.
Yeah. We'll see.
So yeah, I don't know what that's all going to be about, but maybe we get another raid after next. I don't know.
I would guess there's a new level 60 raid. I'd put money on that. And maybe they let us, mess with the existing raids for a while, and then they give out the new one, or who knows how they'll do that. But this phase, the new content that we've seen so far in this phase, I've been very impressed with. I've enjoyed a lot. So I'm very much looking forward to what kind of new content they have planned for the future phases. It's meshed into the old classic world very well. And, Season of Discovery, this is not a controversial opinion, I don't think, has been, one of the best WoW experiences I've had for a long time.
I believe the only WoW experience that beats this out for me is literally the first year that I played the game. Like the first year that I played the game, everything was magical. Like it was just unreal what they had built. I'd played a lot of MMOs prior. I couldn't believe what they had done and how well it was done, and everything down to the pop culture movie references throughout the entire game. Like, even the glaive from the B sci-fi fantasy movie Kroll is in Molten Core and in the lava. Like he finds it in the movie in lava, and it's right there. Like, I mean, everything was just perfect. Yeah. Even the launch of Classic doesn't beat this out. I'm having the most fun I think I've ever had besides year one back in 2005. It's so much fun, which is so weird because it's only level 25. Like, and I'm just having so much freaking fun. It's unbelievable.
It's got that old school feel, man. Like feels just like back in the day. This was some added stuff. I mean, this is essentially the Classic Plus we all really were kind of looking for, but didn't know it.
Well, and for me too.
Be right back, just a minute.
No problem. For me too, it's just like I'm getting to play. Well, I kind of wanted Simonize here because I wonder if he feels the same way. Maybe I'll wait on that. Where's Mel been? Did we lose Mel? That's weird. All right, well, Tim, what's been your favorite part?
Season of Discovery so far?
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's really just one how alt friendly it is. Like I've never played a druid before, so like leveling that druid up and learning a whole new class has been really interesting for me. But also
That's
getting to live
awesome.
out my dream. Yeah, it's super fun. But getting to live out my dream as an actual tanking shaman. I know they were able to do it in classic. It was just a lot more rough. Like you could do it up to level 40, but then everybody switched over. And then I remember when I was on Bigglesworth before it died off. We had one tanking shaman on the server who went into AQ 40, and he got like the first 3 bosses down, and then that's all we could do. But it was still like I can't wait to see what end game kind of looks like with a tanking shaman. Like it's been super fun so far, and I'm playing like my favorite class in the game. So
Yeah, for me, like I do have aspirations of maybe finally getting that rogue Thunder Fury. Might actually be an argument finally for it.
Oh hell! I mean, being a tanking rogue, getting an actual argument for Thunder Fury. I mean, I get it. Hell, that's the only reason I make warriors is so I maybe someday get a chance at it.
Oh man, yeah. So yeah, I made a hunter. I've never done a hunter in my entire time, hunter or shaman. So I might be doing a shaman next just to see what it's like because I've never done like either of those. The hunter's been really fun. I had no idea you taught your hunter pets different spells and moves, and you have to like go get different pets to learn these spells and moves so that you could teach them to your other pets. It's kind of neat. Like, I wish I could collect more. Like, it's kind of sad when I get rid of a friend.
Stables.
Yeah. Well, there's stables,
like your
but
stables can have like one pet in it, right?
What you can buy one for like 10 silver, but then the next slot to have a total of 3, 1 on you and 2 in stable, that slot's 5 gold. I'm just like,
yeah.
Maybe I'll wait till next phase to buy that. But yeah, Simonize, what I was wanting to say, one of the coolest things, and I think this might be for other people too, maybe not as much, but with it so few servers, I finally am getting to raid and play with all the friends I've made content creation wise throughout my time, doing the podcast. And it's been so neat. And I bet there's a lot of people who've made friends that actually get to play on the same server now that were on different servers and stuff. People who've met through like maybe the Countdown to Classic Discord or other, like-mind Discords. And it's been really, really neat because it was just kind of a crapshoot when Classic first came out. You're like, well, I could go to the streamer server, Farolita, or I could just, but I don't know any of those people, but now like everybody's been going and made friends and different Discords and can like really do, play wherever they want and they can test it out because it's easy to work up. Like I've just been having a blast with that. And I thought you might be too, Simon.
Yeah, I think having really big servers is generally good for the game. There's some like neat things about, there's a very small server, there's a very niche community click, but like there's a lot of downsides that come with a small server of like, maybe the raid group is, the 5 different raid groups that actually raid on that server already have rogues, or none of them raid at times you can attend. I think there's so many more problems with small servers than big servers. And, big servers, there's just pugs going on all the time. There's a bunch of raid guilds, so you can find one that fits your schedule. You can find one that has a spot available for your class. And there's just so many more advantages, and just being able to play with everyone and not worrying about like, I've got to transfer off this server now because the population died down to the point where I can't even play the game anymore. I read that Blizzard had made like infrastructure upgrades to be able to allow these servers to handle huge amount of players much better, and it's been a blast. I think the big servers, great, very good.
Yep, Ashen Vale, it's a little bit of a shit show during prime time. I have had lag at times, much less than I thought I was going to have.
Wait. You've had lag in Ashenvale? Are you serious? I never ever lag at all.
Way less than I thought, though.
I'm just
Like,
kidding.
yeah, but I mean, I only lag like the 2 games in actual prime time. And then the best games that I've played are like 3 and 4 in the morning, like, Central Time. Like the game will be like 45 minutes, but it'll really be a battle. Like where we're like all on our, it's like, all right, everybody with a mount, you need to go west. And so everybody with a mount goes west to take it over. And we're having to fight the horde on the road on the way. And it was awesome. Like,
yeah,
those are the really fun times. I bet early in the morning is probably like really fun too, but it all depends on the layer you're on too and everything. But I really like, honestly, like I love it when the Ashenvale thing comes up because I'm like, ooh, I got all these characters. I got 2 characters at revered. My hunter isn't even 25, almost revered. Like he's halfway there. Like it's, even when it's laggy, it's still fun to be like checking that box and getting closer to something I've never had. I've never had over honored in Warsong Gulch in any version of the game because
it's a grind.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
even did a
only
pre-bait,
from the
it's a grind. Yeah, even pre-bait.
When it's only from the battleground, it's so hard to get. It takes a huge time investment. I mean, just going revered to exalted in the battleground is 103 wins.
Oh my god.
That's a lot. That's so much. I mean, you have 10-minute games. That's still 1,000 minutes.
Jesus.
Oh, and that's if they're all wins.
Yeah,
all wins.
I'm hoping our Arathi Basin is like we're getting rep when we do the new Stranglethorn Vale because it's going to be really neat having characters revered or exalted as you move up because exalted is more, I think that like it'll be more like, I think the epic gear starts like you might be able to use it in the level 50 bracket. I can't remember what it is, but for the stuff up to revered, like all the items are like, you can buy a new one at 18, 28, 38, 48, 58. So you'll be able to be getting these pre-bis items, right away when we go to the new phases, which is, I think, super cool. Like a way to like plan for future.
Yeah, reputation you can farm now that gives you a little bit now and also is going to give you a little bit in the future.
It's neat. I still don't know why the hunter bow in revered is not on the BIS list on Wowhead.
You brought that up earlier. You're very annoyed by that, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I just like I just don't get it.
Your pet's doing all the work anyways.
I believe it was just oversight.
True. I mean, you it's about the hunter pet, and the bow doesn't have any stats that scale up the hunter pet's damage. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, as a guide writer, I could say sometimes you think of a list of items and there's no particular reason that this or that item, isn't on the list. I get that question all the time. Why isn't this on your list? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I thought of like 7 or 8 items that are good and I put them on the list and I ranked them. I just didn't think of that one, just an oversight.
I think that it was, I think someone told me that it was a level 28, like, cause everything went on by 10 up to 8. So like it was like 18, 28, all the way up to 58. And I think someone said that they ended up moving it back to 25. And that's why nobody saw it right off the bat. Because there was no article to show you that. And they put that out before people had been really hitting revered, I think.
In vanilla, the Warsong rewards were like 18, 28, 38, 48, 58, like you said. But now they removed the level 18 ones and they gave us level 25 versions. So, slightly higher stats on each of those. Right. So it may be a thing that like the guide writer just didn't include the level 18 version because maybe it wasn't good, but that item doesn't exist anymore. Maybe they didn't know about the 25 version. But I mean, it sounds like something that maybe should be there and, could get updated and, included in the list.
Yeah, I hope so. But okay, so I want to play this voicemail now to give us a little bit of food for conversation. Food for thought.
That's the phrase. Food for
Yep,
thought.
there you go.
I like food for conversation.
Well,
Be like, you know,
I
buffalo
understood what you
wings.
meant. So good enough.
yeah.
Some charcuterie, yes.
All right, here we go.
Hey guys, this is the Breadman calling back. My birds are asleep now. Thank you for the show and all the hard work you guys put in. I really enjoy the show. What I wanted to talk about specifically is the cadence as to the phases. I know you guys touched on a little bit of it at the end of last episode. Looking at the roadmap here, it seems like it may be a little rushed. I don't know. I'm really enjoying this level 25 meta and figuring things out, and I feel like we should get a good amount of time to kind of figure things out. We're only going to get to level 25 meta once. There's no going back once they roll that 40. So we got to enjoy it while we can. But at the same time, I know some of the more sweaty players or people who have more time in general are progressing. They're running out of things to do. So I just wanted to get your guys' opinion. What do you think would be a good speed to roll this out at? Do you guys think 3 months per phase is too long? Do you guys think 2 months is too short? I don't know. My personal opinion is the slower the better. And we may run out of things here and there, but we can always jump into Selfbound or back to Wrath or anything like that if we do finish all the content, and then just have the majority of the player base kind of get to experience everything. What do you guys think? Thanks.
So I hear it all the time from creators that they want the next thing now. They want the next thing now. But I often don't hear that from non-creators and people with like big jobs and everything. And honestly, a lot of people said, you know, SoD would be dead in the water if they don't, you know, even Scotty J, my good buddy, said that he thought, you know, first phase needed to be like 6 weeks or SoD was going to die. And I don't think that's the case at all. Like, I think a lot of the creators might even have changed their tune now because they're having so much fun working up alts. It's really fun. And with the way we're learning how to min-max like leveling, we're having a good time just seeing how fast we can make a 25. And it gives other people time to really get in there and do what they want. I want another by the numbers they put out, because the first one they put out, I couldn't believe how many people hadn't completed the raid. I want to know, you know, but like at the same time, characters created, people could have just been reserving names. There could be all kinds of, we don't know the exact parameters that they were using for that data.
Right.
Like, you know, if they were at least saying, you know, level 10, like I would have only counted level 5 or higher, or 10 or higher, maybe. Just like cut out the bank alts and everything else.
Just cut out from all the other metrics. Yeah, like if you're you know, level 2 AFK in town is really relevant for, you know, you to be included in the metric of how many people completed the raid. And also like
it shows, Environ says that shows how many bots are in the game.
Yeah. That
You tell me the bots don't raid? Yeah. Come on. I have been in raid with bots.
I mean, I've been in raids with people that don't communicate, but I don't really
that's what I'm talking.
When I see a bot, they're like really bad. And they're like moving in dumb ways. Like people that don't communicate can still play the game fine.
Right.
I love the new bots.
I would be very surprised. I'd be very surprised if an actual bot could participate in BFD and complete the raid. I think, you know, you might say BFD is easy, but like there's a lot you have to do to like convince a group of players that you're not a bot and to include you in the raid. Like
people have been using chat. They've been using like not chat GPT, but AI to power bot conversation. Like when you send them a tell and stuff. I haven't seen it in WoW yet, but I've seen it in other games like old school RuneScape and stuff.
That.
Oh man, we're gonna get to a time where you're not gonna know if you're playing with a real player or not.
Yeah.
Doing it. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about the timing and stuff? Like,
I feel like right now is also a really good time at 25 for people to level up a bunch of different alts. I think that's going to diminish the higher we get, just because it's going to be a longer grind to level up another character, right? So I think people are enjoying that. I don't want them to keep it too long, right? Because I do think it'll lose a little bit. Like doing BFD every 3 days, I feel like is going to get a little old eventually, but
Eventually, yeah.
it hasn't yet. And
Yeah.
I mean, we've still got probably a month at least of it. And I think that's probably a decent, like, I work a lot and I travel a lot, so I don't play a ton. And I also Wrath Guild. And so I feel like another month is still good for me. I think if it goes a month after that, I feel like it's
might be too much.
Gonna start to get, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm ready.
He makes a good point about there's lots of other, and I want to try some solo self-found. Like I do want to try out Kata, like, so as we go on, like if they aren't long enough, I'm just going to want to spend every waking second in Season of Discovery, and I'm never going to get to try those other things, really. I believe that's how it's going to go, because as we move on,
I'd be fine with that. if I'm enjoying Season of Discovery, even as someone who plays this game as their job, 6 to 8 hours a day, then turns off stream and plays, a couple more hours.
Yep.
I don't feel like I'm running out of stuff to do. I'm having plenty of fun leveling up extra characters and, creating unique challenges for myself. I think it's good that the game is, the content, like the raid is like generally accessible to a vast majority of the player base. Like it's not too hard to clear. If I want difficulty, I can invent that own difficulty. I can do speed runs in the raid. I can do, leveling and soloing challenges. I think there's a stark contrast to Wrath of the Lich King, and why I'm having so much more fun in Season of Discovery is that, this is all accessible. It's not like some great slog or insane difficulty to just beat the content in the game. You get to, beat the content and then do whatever you want and make it challenging in your own way.
Right.
Yep. And there's so many fun challenges to do, like soloing different things. Like I took my buddy in with his shout out to I Play Games, former host on the Omnic Lab podcast for Overwatch. I'm sure a lot of you heard of that. It was the biggest one for the entire time that it was going. So, but he was with me, and he's like, I need the mace from Dead Mines, and I'm like, he's like, do you want to make a group and do it? I was like, no. Let me grab my rogue. Let me show you some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I showed him how to go through with a rogue, and literally you have to use Vanish once, but that's the only time. You don't have to fight anything. We went right through. Luckily, he got it on the first try, but he was like, this is so cool. Nice. And it's cool to do those types of weird things, like, and see how few people you can do stuff with. Like you were talking about the BFD raid run as a 5-man, and those different things are really fun, fun. And so, I'm having fun doing all kinds of different stuff. I wouldn't mind if they were longer. And especially as we go forward, like it's going to be longer and longer to level. So like, I'm not opposed to them being longer each time we move on. So
I think the next phases being longer is not a bad idea.
A little bit of progression.
When you go to the next phase, they're gonna, lower the experience requirement for the 1 to 25 band.
True.
So when we're in phase 2, level 40, going from 1 to 25 will be faster, and then when we're in phase 3, level 50, going 1 to 40 will be faster than it was before.
Yep.
So I think their plan is to make it, still be pretty easy to just roll a new character if you want to and not feel like a huge slog. And I hope they actually achieve that.
I could be wrong here, but I feel like 25 to 40 is longer than 1 to 25. And I feel like 40 to 50 is longer than 25 to 40. I could be wrong on that. And I believe 50 to 60 is longer than 40 to 50. So I don't
just
know
the
that for
I'd say
sure.
that's generally
Yeah, the
generally
XP
right.
goes up every level, doesn't it? Like the amount you have to get for every level goes up.
Yeah, it's because like I think someone was telling me the halfway point from 1 to 60 is like level
45 or something.
I'm going to say it wrong, but I think
45,
it's in the 40s. I think
Yeah.
like the high 40s. So I
In
don't
terms
know.
of time spent, yeah, I think that's right.
So it would be nice for each of them to be a little bit longer because I've got 4 tunes now of different classes and I don't know which ones I want to keep them all, you know, like, and I want to make more rogues.
If
And
the
that would,
phase is, a month or a little over a month long, or what are we doing? We're like 2 to 3 months.
2.5
2 to
months,
3
yeah.
months. You'll have plenty of time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the right number is. I think them looking at stats of everybody would be the best way for them to decide because most of the creators we're doing way more than everybody else because we have way more time to do it, and it's not fair. And we feel sorry.
I do not do way more than everybody else.
We are blessed and lucky right now, so yeah, I feel bad for everybody else, and I want them to have the best time that they can have.
As long as it's not like a repeat of Old War, like that length, I think that was a bit too far.
It was like, how many months was Old War? Like 4 or 5?
Yeah, I thought it was like 4.
Yeah,
but
that was a lot of Old War.
Let's not do that again.
See, I had a blast with Old War because I didn't sweaty it. Like we didn't do any PTR. We worked on like 1 to 3 new hard modes every week, so we could prepare specifically for those ones. And it was something new every week, so like for a long time for us. And we didn't even get Algalon down till week 8 or 9. Like, and we did it 10 mans, but just not in 25 mans. And I was fine with that. It was actually one of the most fun progressions I've done. ICC has not been the same way. I don't know if TOGC just like, I made so many characters in TOGC and was raiding with so many characters, and then ICC came out. It was a little overwhelming for me, if I'm being honest. I wish they would have just done it the way they did it before in stages, because like that many bosses all at once was overwhelming for me. I know even creators like Jordy, that's some overwhelming stuff for him to try to make guides on every single one of those things and PTR, and it was just overwhelming. Like that's all that I can say about it. But I don't know. Old War was fun. It was a little bit long, but I had a blast.
I think it would have been a better thing if they took Ruby Sanctum and they toned down the loot in it and they released it at the same time as Trial of the Crusader, because Trial of the Crusader is like it's nothing raid. It's it's so short. So if you had like 2 different things to do in that phase, that would have been a way better balance. And like now with Ruby Sanctum coming out,
they could have just
soon. It's like everyone's already in Season of Discovery. I'm sorry, like I'm not coming back for Ruby Sanctum. Like I don't care anymore.
It's gonna feel
content,
horrible without the buff. You've been in the buff in ICC, and now you're going to Ruby Sanctum. You're exactly right. They should have just toned the trinkets down, put it out during TOGC, and it would have, it would have been fine. Because who's going to get those trinkets to go back and parse at ICC? I don't know.
They also TOGC coming out and it being out for as long as it was, and only having to raid an hour a week or something, and then getting ICC and being like, oh god, okay, this is a grind again.
I was just gonna bring that up. Going from 5 bosses to 12 with actual mechanics, it's brutal.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, bosses that you wipe on a whole lot too. I mean,
like progression again, and like progression again. I feel like after Old War would have been fine, and I even think TOGC would have been a good break if it was like a really short time, right? Like if it was like a month of TOGC or something, and that's it, and it was just like, take this time, revive yourself, and then go into ICC.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I still think I'm with Simon. They definitely should have put like Ruby Sanctum before ICC. Like even if it was like TOGC a month to 8 weeks or a month, 2 months, and then go into Ruby Sanctum. Even if they did like one after the other into ICC, I think that would have been a better move. But here we are.
I think
Here we are.
I think Scotty J had that idea, like he wanted Ani to come out same time as Nax, and he wanted Ruby Sanctum to come out during TOGC. And I think he said that well before the launch, like months before the launch, when we were, just speculating at what Wrath could be like.
Yeah, I'm sure I heard that like Ruby Sanctum idea from someone else. I didn't think of that, but I thought it was a good idea. I might have heard it from a Scotty J video.
He's the first one I remember saying it, but we've all thought it, parroted it. Like, and I didn't really know, because I quit when TOGC came out and then came back for Cata, because I was so pissed that we spent all this time in Ulduar getting all this gear, and the Ulduar gear wasn't buffed back then. So literally these people were going in to normal TOGC, face rolling it and getting gear better than mine that I had worked so hard for. I was just like, F you guys, I'm done with this crap. Like, I was so bad, but yeah. And then like doing it 4 times, normal 10, heroic 10, normal 25, heroic 25. Because that was what we did too back then. Like, I was like, I'm done with this. I need to go do something else.
Too much.
I'm really, really happy we didn't do that this round.
Yeah. Although at the same time, I was like, well, shit, we would have had double chances at trinkets. It would have been the lower one, but dang it.
But our Titan Rune dungeons and stuff.
Titan Rune dungeons were pretty fun. Like that was a pretty good addition that they did to catch up and stuff.
I think it was an all right addition. They didn't. One thing they announced for Cataclysm, they didn't announce much, but they said they're going to continue with the Titan Rune dungeon system, and that to me is actually an L. Like Titan Rune was a good it was an easier way to get gear. So it was a good catch-up mechanic. So people did it because it was the easiest way to get gear. But it wasn't, for me, like, it was fun a couple of times. But when I have to grind, 200 Defiler Scourge Stones, it gets really old really fast. And if I can, if I'm predicting the future phases of like, every time a phase comes out, I'm going to re-grind Titan Rune dungeons to pick up, the upgrades that I didn't get in the previous phase and, farm another 80 Scourge Stones or whatever the new
Honestly, I'd rather just not have the upgrade.
It got better.
Yeah, I'd rather that not be available, because then I don't feel compelled to do this, again, it's fun a couple of times. It's not fun the 70th time. But
well, the gammas were better, right?
To do it.
Like the gammas were better when you got 1 per boss. That felt better. So like 1 per ending boss prior to that was horrible. Like, because everybody's just skipping to the end. Like, but yeah, it definitely wasn't great.
The announcement that Titan Rune dungeons would be included in Cataclysm actually made me less interested in the expansion, because I know what my Titan Rune dungeon experience has been like in Wrath.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have toned down the prices a little bit or something. Like, maybe that might have been a better call, but it was.
And people would have been mad though, because they spent a bunch of time grinding and progressing in a raid, and then you got it
whenever you
dungeons.
Whenever you have anything in the game super difficult and then you make it easier and more accessible, you have the people that are mad that their item isn't so special anymore. And it's like, I just get over it.
I'm always fine with that once that tier's over. I'm always fine with it once the tier's over. I'm like, dude, it was awesome during that tier, but now, like, it's just going to feel bad for everybody who doesn't have it, going forward. Like, I never got a death verdict ever. Like, and that sucked. Like, we had 2 drop in the one raid, and then in another raid we had 8. It's just like, it sucks. Yeah. So, but I don't know. It was better than nothing, I guess. But
I mean, it's better than going back into Old War just to farm one piece of
True.
item, find all the biz stuff, or going back into TOGC, even though it's a joke of a raid. Like,
it's
Mhm.
only
periodically.
good. Yeah, it's only good if you're doing GDKPs because then you're at least getting
Yes.
more for your time. Like, so I continued doing Old War forever after when we were
Can
at
I
TOGC.
take a moment to plug that I think GDKP is a good loot system.
It
It gets
is.
so much hate.
There's
It
a lot of
is.
hate on it.
They just
And
hate gold buyers.
I mean, it's
and,
like-
Yeah,
you know,
that's what it is.
People hate gold bars, but like what I really like about GDKP is I attend a GDKP. I know I'm going to walk away with something valuable for my time. And that's a
Mhm.
big deal to me. I go to a raid. I know I'm going to make progress on my character. I'm either going to have an item or I'm going to have more gold to spend on an item, increase my odds of having an item next week. And it's
Right.
like, yeah,
And-
sometimes you get the stinkers that come in that have bought a bunch of gold. It's pretty obvious when someone comes in and does that.
Yep.
Don't invite them back next week.
Yeah,
Well,
and at least
and-
you
That's what I
benefit from
say.
it a little bit too, because you get all the
Yeah,
gold that
yeah.
they
I mean,
spend
some
on the
guy comes
items.
in and bids, 100 gold on every item in your BFD
Right.
GKP, which I haven't done yet, but I
haven't
know
done it
those
yet
are
either.
happening.
Yeah.
Then all the like normal people just get more gold. Like, you
Right.
get something even when someone else goes in and buys gold. I mean, like,
The biggest
I just think GKP there's like way more hate than it deserves
For sure.
actually being a pretty good loot system. Okay, my rant is over.
Well, I mean, the biggest boon of it, and I've said this every time, is that you get into a reserve pug, or you get into, just a pug that's OS over or MS over OS.
Mm-hmm.
You have people leaving all the time after certain bosses and stuff, whereas in a GDKP, it's extremely rare for somebody to leave because they want the payout at the end. So
Yep.
you almost never have
Yep.
to deal with that. And that's one of the things that takes the longest. Like I had a 4-hour, 10-man
Refill.
raid, in Oldwar back like when it started, and it wasn't us going slow. It was people leaving every other boss and having to fill that role and talking
It's like
people into
the
coming
golden
into a
boss needed.
half-done dungeon. Like it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pain. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the only
having
thing I like about GDKPs is that you're going to get people who stay the entire run, and you're most likely going to get quality players. But you're also laundering money. No, I'm
It's
kidding.
all right.
Yeah, I mean, when you
Unknowingly, though,
hold a reward
so-
that's valuable to everyone till the end of the raid, they actually have a big a big individual incentive to stay there. They don't have to be a team player. They can be out for themselves and they still have an incentive to stay the whole time.
Mhm.
Whereas like in Bobby's, 10-man Ulduar, the physical DPS probably left after Thor died because
The Runestone.
the Mjolnir runestone didn't drop, and then there's nothing else in the raid that's relevant for them. So why would they stay and suffer through Yogg one light attempts or whatever? Not that that's like super difficult, but I could imagine the type of player who might leave might be the type of player who's not good enough to clear
Yeah.
Yogg one light in 10-man. Whatever.
Yeah.
You create an incentive structure that incentivizes the behavior you actually want to see, and then you actually see that behavior. That shouldn't be that much of a
No rocket
surprise.
science. Right?
well, and Van Hoyk says GDKPs make bad players. I have to disagree with you. I'm doing pummels. Like I do a lot of GDKPs with pummel. I'm doing ICC tonight. I was doing 11 of 12 in my GDKPs weeks and weeks before I was doing 11 of 12 in my guild raid group. And I mean, and I think my play improved playing with them and learning different strategies. And, so I don't know, like, I think I'm better for it because of it. So,
I think
but there is bad
teach
GDKPs.
A lot of, yeah, but I think GDKPs also try to find strategies that don't require a ton of cooperation from every single player in the raid, because they know that they're going to have some buyers that aren't at the quality level of some of the other people, right? And so I think they've developed like very good strategies for bosses too that are like, oh, that is easier. We should use that in our regular raid, even when we are all talking.
Yeah, and I think this is good. Like they
Yeah.
create these strategies that are the goal of the strategy is to have the highest probability of killing the boss. You
Yes.
know, and just like
Oh,
make,
yeah.
Meta. Most efficient tactics available is what it stands for.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not even like killing the boss as fast as possible, or killing the boss with only one tank so you can have more DPS or more healers or something like
Right.
that you might do in like a more competitive group. It's just like figure out what the minimum strategical requirements are to consistently kill the boss, so that
Yep.
you don't have to have really good players because you have a really good strategy.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, usually the last GDKPs I did was ICC, and every time we like went into Death Whisper on Heroic, I'm like, all right, well, let's see how many people get hit by ghosts, and that usually told me how the rest of the raid was going to go.
Yeah,
100%.
Yep.
Dude, a lot of people just don't understand on the ghost thing. You just need to find out it's not on you. Then you can go back and DPS the boss. Then it's on somebody else. You're not like running from somebody else's ghost. That's on them. Like if it hits them, it's going to hit you. It's a huge radius. So like,
Oh yeah,
you just need to make sure it's not on you. Like, but the only times I run into ghosts is like as soon as I hear the ghost call, I like instinctively back up, like from the boss, and sometimes I'll back right into it, and I'm like, damn it. But I mean, I get hit by a ghost. Maybe I do 2 ICCs a week. I get hit by a ghost maybe 1 every 3 weeks. So I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But the worst is I always seem to hit the ghost when somebody goes, the next person hit a ghost, I'm going to freaking take away your cut or something. I'm like, damn it.
yeah.
So one time I hit it, damn it. I mean,
But fails
man,
under the pressure.
That's the funniest part. I think this is the part I enjoy about GDKPs the most, is when someone says, if you screw up this basic mechanic, you're losing your cut. And then magically we kill the boss the next attempt
Right.
because no one screws up the basic mechanic.
Yep.
My favorite was like, I was doing in TBC, I was doing a Hyjal GDKP. And we had people, it has the mechanic where you get knocked way high into the air and you get a special item, Tears of the Goddess, that gives you slow fall. So you can, not
people
die.
that wouldn't use it.
Yeah. And then like there was a mechanic that made it extra punishing if anyone died. It like buffed the boss and made him cast a special spell, whatever. It was a big deal if someone died. So we wiped like 2 times, and then the raid leader was like, okay, the next person who dies to fall damage is forfeiting their cut. And then we killed the boss because no one died that attempt. And I just love
Increased
that.
motivation
Crazy.
right there.
Yep.
it's crazy how that works. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we got on kind of a tangent there. Like,
Happens.
any thoughts or predictions on coming phases? And I mean, do we think like some of the things people have been asking for dual spec? I personally am kind of off the dual spec train now, and I want situation spec. I want to like basically have four specs, and like you can change them as you want. One of them's open world, one of them's BG, one of them's raid, one of them's or raid PVE, and one of them's open world, BG, raid, group dungeon. I'd be fine if group and dungeon, like raid and dungeon, were the same, but I think it'd be cool for having more tanks if, they could just keep like a tank spec for dungeons and stuff like that. And then you don't have people min-maxing inside the raid doing 2 different PvE specs and stuff like that. So
you're saying you're trying to like restrict it so you specifically can't do that. I think having the respec cost be capped at a gold,
that's been huge. That was
thank you. Really
Blizzard.
low.
Yeah,
keeping at a really low respec cost has like to me largely solved the problem. Like it doesn't feel like a big investment. It doesn't feel like a big deal to me to just run to the trainer and respec. I want to tank this raid. Okay, cool. I'll hearth to Ogremar. I'll hit the trainer and I'm tanking this raid. I want to like make a spec for PvP. Okay, do it. Make spec for raid, make a spec for soloing. Okay, do it. The cost is low enough that it doesn't feel like a big deal. So like if they add dual spec, great. If they don't, I'm actually pretty okay with the way it is now, as long as his respec cost doesn't, go up substantially.
The only thing is
they-
as we go on, I really having an open world spec, because I'd like to be a PvP spec on the way to the instance, like, and that it's so healthy for PvP to have a for world PvP to not feel like you're gimped out there playing Fury Warrior when you're really just a rogue with no utility, as a Fury Warrior, basically. That feels bad, and you end up just dying and not trying to fight back because, and as we go on, it's going to be worse and worse. Like right now, most of us can get away in PvP with the,
with a raid spec.
Yeah, I think Druid is one of the few that
I didn't think about that. In future phases, you might, the talents are probably going to have a much higher impact in future phases. Right now, like, I can PvP a little bit, just switch my runes, stay in my raid spec, and it's pretty much fine.
Yep.
But yeah, that might not be the case later. And then, I'd much prefer to be able to, like, press a button and be in my PvP build.
Yep. But it'd be even greater just to walk to the desert, then you zone in, it switches over to your other one, I think that would be great. But I think dual spec is the only thing we might get. So I think I would rather have that than not have it.
I could have sworn that they said something. They hinted at dual spec.
They did it.
I think they did.
They even did it in my interview with. Okay. I mean, they even did it in my interview after BlizzCon when we had
when
we had the devs on. Our interview. Yeah, sorry.
I know you forget I'm there.
I put you in the tweet this time.
Finally.
No, I think it'll be neat to see what other runes that we get, right? Because obviously, I think everybody was a little surprised to see the ones we have currently at level 25 and how powerful they are. So maybe there's certain runes that'll be more, directed towards using in PvP or in raid or in group, whatever have you. I think it's super. The way the game's going and the way the team's communicating right now makes it very enjoyable, and I'm really, really looking forward to the next few phases. Honestly,
yeah.
I wonder if some of the slots as we go forward are going to be like types of things that are more like minor glyph types of things, like sprinting and you walk on water, or stuff where you don't have to use a regent for certain things, like, or it doesn't cost mana to buff, or I wonder if we'll see any of those, because if they're all as powerful and we have them on each piece of gear and we're not limited to some, like, it's gonna be wacky.
Yeah. I don't know though. I mean, we're already starting to see like some of the decision making that you have to make with the runes, right? Where there's like, oh, I want to use this one, but I can't not use this one in this instance, right? And I think that's cool. Like I'm glad that there's not I'm glad that there's multiple runes that are viable in different situations in the same slot, instead of it just being like, well, you've got these other runes that nobody ever uses, but they're there in case you're weird and want to use them. Like,
it's also weird. Lots of people seem to think that every class is 4-4-4. It's not true. Like Rogue is 4-3-5. Like as far as like what we have.
The runes,
Well, I think Warrior the same. There's a few classes that aren't 4-4-4. I think most of them are 4-4-4, but
for rogues, it's kind of cool. Like the chest rune is, one of them's. Most of them are passives. One's an active on the chest rune. Then the leg rune, they're all finishing moves, and then the hand rune, they're all combo point builders. So you pick from a new custom combo point builder, a new custom finishing move, and then the chest rune, I guess, is 3 passives in one hand. Whatever. They're kind of like slotted and categorized. It's kind of neat.
That's pretty cool.
Kind of neat.
You know why all the finishing moves are on the legs?
Why?
Because they want rogues to kick more.
Well, one of the finishing moves they give you is a stun that interrupts stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
See?
Dude, hey man, kicking, I like lots of people. I think it's a really cool thing. It's one of our jobs that expected. And good rogues kick, bad rogues don't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I learned that in classic Nax.
I mean,
I've done some
good warriors
on
kick
my
too.
rogues. Done some colors on my rogues, and we like go in, and I'm like, all right, there's like 5 classes that can interrupt, and then I'm the only one actually pressing interrupts. I'm like, what's going on? Why are so many spells going off? I'm kicking every time it's available, yet there's no other interrupts happening. And it's just like, we killed the boss anyways. Calm down. Calm down. It's okay.
Dude, I'm always
No, you
so
need to kick.
pleasantly surprised when a mage kicks. I'm like, that a boy? That a
I'm proud
boy?
of you.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean it's so funny because my frames tell me who kicked, which I love.
Yeah.
So I'm like, because like I'd be like, oh, you're such a good kicker, and like people oftentimes are like, how do you know? You're looking at logs. I'm like, no, I just see it real time. And you beat. If someone beats me to the kick, it always feels bad because I wasted energy. But I'm always like,
Yep.
my man. Oh, all right. Well, what do you think about? There's a lot of people bitching and crying and moaning about BGs. So this is gonna be the last thing because we got to go. We're out of time. But
I've got my raid in about 18 minutes.
Yep. We are going to be closing out. But I want to know what you guys think about. Everybody's asking for a solo queue that only solo players go into, or a pre-made crew that only pre-mades go into, and then like a 3 to 5 party thing where it just links up like people in groups of 3 to 5. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I'm tired of getting crushed by pre-mades as much as the next guy. But I think it's either pre-made or solo. That's it. Like as soon as you start touching like 3, 5, it gets a little bit more convoluted.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a multiplayer game. You should be rewarded for grouping up and organizing to achieve your goals. So like that's what holds me back from just saying like, yeah, pre-made queue versus solo queue is definitely, a good thing. Cause like it a bit disincentivizes you from bothering to group up and try to strategize and work together. That being said, I've played Battlegrounds as a pre-made, and I've very intentionally never done solo queues because I know how it goes. I've been on the pre-made side, and I cannot imagine, whenever we go in there and completely dominate and roll over a disorganized group in 8 or 9 minutes, I cannot imagine that's a good experience. And that's probably the experience of the majority of people participating in Battlegrounds. So, as much as I want to say like you should be incentivized for grouping up, that should be the better, you should be rewarded for that. It's probably, overall creating a worse experience for people. So I would be in favor of, having a pre-made queue and a solo queue that like very strongly tries to put solo players together and very strongly tries to put pre-mades against pre-mades.
Don't you think though it would get abused and it would just incentivize people getting a group of 9 players together to queue up? Or you're saying they could only queue up solo or in a full 10-man?
I mean, there'd have to be some like threshold that I'm not sure on the specifics of the implementation, but yeah, like 9-man wouldn't be counted as like a solo queue. That would definitely be on the pre-made side of things, and yeah, they'd have to stick one random person with them.
The problem that really comes into mind for me though is they did this in TBC, remember?
Yeah.
And pre-mades just stopped because no one wants to do pre-made against pre-made, even though it's fun. Like you start not getting
it's not an efficient honor farm.
Like,
pre-made versus pre-made game, unless you have some kind of like implicit like collusion type of thing going on, like whoever gets the first flag cap just wins and the other team gives up. Like that can be like a generally established rule, but that's like collusion. If you don't have that going on, a pre-made versus pre-made game could take hours because you are organized, you are protecting your flag carrier, you are like focused on killing the important players in a skirmish, like the healers, rather than just like whoever's in front of you. And it could just make the games take for fucking ever. And you literally have better honor per hour solo queuing. Yeah. And that's what I was saying. Like, you should be rewarded for organizing and working together in a team in a multiplayer game. So, that's the danger of implementing a like pre-made versus pre-made or solo queue versus solo queue thing is it removes a lot of the incentive to actually form, groups and work together and try to organize.
Well, and you get the problem. So like, yeah, like basically people don't know, after 10 kills, you're getting no more honor from that person that day. So about 20 minutes in, you're getting no honor for kills at that point. And if you want to do pre-made versus pre-made, I think it does work if you substantially increase the rewards and maybe do something like rated BG or something where you get on a leaderboard or something. Like that's something that would incentivize it.
Yeah, if you had pre-made versus pre-made, like it would maybe like be a different queue up button. So it's like very clear, like you have to enter this, with whatever. If they could determine what is a pre-made group and what is not, this 9-person or 8-person, that's who knows how that lands out. But yeah, if you substantially increase the honor reward, then people would perhaps still be incentivized to group up, and this could still be a more efficient way to farm honor.
You could do a time limit, but that would just turn into whoever gets the first score, turtles for the entire time afterwards. It would turn into that. You could do solo queue, but guys, I hate to tell you, what's going to happen is 10 people are going to queue at the same time, and as long as 7 pop, they're going to go in, and the other people are just going to wait, or it'll be like
effectively a pre-made. Yeah,
like they did it in early vanilla with Alterac Valley.
I remember that.
And there were hundreds of players in the queue, and what they do is when it would pop, the 40 that popped would just go in, and then the next queue would go, and then there'd be 40 more, and so most of the time people are getting in with a different, set of people sometimes, but for the most part, it was like a complete pre-made. And so people will do that if, they. And
then you don't think about, it's
hidden MMR
with like 1 or 2 of your friends, right? Like that kind of sucks if you're, just playing Battlegrounds with a couple of your friends and you can't queue unless you get 10 or unless you get 15. And like, or you have to queue solo and hope you get in the same group. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like it brings a lot more problems than it would help.
Maybe there isn't such a good solution to this. Like, pre-made stomping pugs is definitely a bad experience for the pug. Like, and that's going to be the experience for the majority of people going into Battlegrounds. And so that's overall a bad thing. But yeah, now that we've talked about it a little bit more, I'm not sure there's a great way to actually, eliminate that problem without creating other problems.
Well, because the community is gonna try to min-max whatever system is in there, right?
I mean, I've been in Alterac Valleys where we literally cap no towers or graveyards, go to the end with our like Nax Ramus geared tanks, tank all the War Masters, and kill Drekthar in 6 minutes. I've done that. I know how that works.
Well, and like Arathi Basin is just a better design. It's going to end like, at least within 30 minutes, like that's why it's such a better design. I think Warsong messed up in how like they should have had 2 flag rooms on each side, maybe, and 2 flags. Like there should have been more to it. Whereas now, one person that knows all the jumps, a druid, can go hide all over the place. Or they should have had it to where after the flag's been held for like 2 or 3 minutes, like show them on the freaking map. Yeah, show them on the map so we can mount an attack.
Yeah,
I think in later versions they did that. They like put them on the map and they gave them like a increasing damage taken debuff over time just to break these stalemate situations.
And that would be good, because there's nothing more frustrating, especially without a mount, like running through and trying to find where this abuser's hiding his back to the wall and putting the flag in the wall so that you can't see it. And like,
I remember in some of the like player-driven Warsong Gulch tournaments, I remember seeing one where they implemented a rule where it was there at a certain time limit. It was just going to be decided, by either who has more flag caps, and then to tie break that, who has more kills. So like there was a definite end. There was a in place method to like break a tie situation. So there were these stalemates would be ended, and then why I particularly remember, I thought that was a good rule. First of all, I thought there's a good way to ensure games actually end. But what I remember was super hilarious is one team thought about this rule and they decided they're just going to grab the very first flag, make sure no one caps ever, and then they're going to intentionally camp in their own base and let the other team come at them. And, they're camped in a defensive position, so they're getting more kills than the other team is killing them. And then they just ran out the clock and had way more kills. I thought that was brilliant. It was a creative, different way to win the game based on the custom rule set of the tournament, but probably not something you want going on long term.
Right.
Yep.
Part of the problem.
Yeah.
Why we can't have any fun.
That rule system was already broken within the first tournament it existed in.
Yep, that'll happen.
All right, well, guys, we're going to have to start ending out. I'm going to end this out really quick. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reload. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. You can send us emails to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the Discord, it's warcraftreloaded.com/Discord, link in the description. If you'd like to help the podcast, you can do Patreon, a bunch of other ways. Comment in the YouTube. The YouTube's growing. It's about 5% of our audience now, so that's awesome. Let's keep it growing. Help us. Comments, likes, all of it helps. And then, warcraftreloaded.com to find everything for us. Every place to watch us. It's all the buttons are there. So check it out. And where can we find you, Ziimm?
So really primarily just on Twitch right now, ZIIMM_1. And I'm on there quite a few times a week doing Season of Discovery, 1 ICC raid a week, and then start getting back into hardcore a little bit too.
Yep, Ziimm was with us the last night of BlizzCon when we accidentally had the room next to a bunch of Blizzard devs and just got to chat with them across the balconies for the rest of the night. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, that was a night to remember for sure.
Yeah, that was absolutely nuts. But Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me in the Warcraft Reloaded Discord or on Twitter sometimes at Mel Overwatch. Not really ever. That's it.
All right. And Simon, where can we find you?
I'm primarily on YouTube and Twitch. Same handle on both. That's twitch.tv/SimonizedShow, all one word. And YouTube is also Simonized Show. So YouTube has all the like guide videos and more like curated and edited content. And then, Twitch, I'm live 5 days a week, usually Monday through Friday. Good stuff.
Good stuff. And his Discord is amazing. For just every tool you might need. Every spreadsheet
Discord
you can think of.
Linked in the description of the Twitch and linked in the description of all the YouTube videos. That's my like repository of all the frequently asked questions about rogue stuff, spreadsheets for estimating your DPS output with gear comparisons, all that kind of stuff. Whole bunch of resources on my Discord, which
Simon,
doesn't
can you
have
take a priest healing so you can make spreadsheets for me too? I feel like that would be helpful.
Perhaps priest healers are pretty high demand now. People love having priest healers in raids.
Oh man, they're nice. They're definitely nice. All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZI_BOB, or you can find me on Twitch at BlazinBob. Thank you guys. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye now.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.